Saturday morning. We better rise and shine, all of us, because the Elite Series pros are out there. They're out on Ross Barnett Reservoir. They're not only fishing, they are catching them. Welcome to Bassmaster Live.
God, it's another big one. Get in the boat. Yes. Wow! Yes. Oh my God. He is your champion, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Being brought to you live by Lowrance.
Hey, we're rocking and rolling. Day 3, I guess it is. I'm sitting in 5th place. I didn't stub my foot yesterday, but I just didn't catch what I did the first day. But a lot of guys stumbled yesterday. My goal still is catch anything in the teens. I mean, that's what I'm after.
Day 3, sitting in 3rd position. Just fell a couple of spots yesterday. Never got that big bite I was looking for. Hopefully it starts out good like it did yesterday morning. You know, it started out pretty hot. It was actually very similar to day 1, except just the fish were bigger. Also, my frog area got blown out, so we're going to check that again to see if the water clarity gets a little bit better. But you know, we'll just play it by ear and see what happens.
And I don't want to sound, you know, crazy when I say this, but dude, this is what I've always dreamed to do. You know what I mean? And I always knew deep down this is what I wanted to do. And right now, I'm leading out all these guys right here. It don't get much better at all.
Oh, Dustin Connell, we know exactly what you mean. It is so nice to be in the catbird seat. Today's assignment, managed to somehow stay in that seat with all these guys, all these marauders, all 50 of them that are out there with you trying to take you down on this day. How about this guy, Mark Menendez, moving up there? Dustin Connell, Mark Menendez proving that there's room at the top. They've moved from out of the top 5 to the top 2 positions there, but some of our guys who were way near the top did a good job of hanging in there in the top 5 also. We'll lay out everybody we're covering today. But right now, let's take a look at our Humminbird Lay of the Lake, Ross Barnett and Davey Hyde, the first time these Elite Series anglers as a group have ever been here.
It is the first time. I've never fished Ross Barnett. It was real interesting yesterday to see how this lake shakes down, the wind, how it affects it. It's a small lake, but boy, it really got rough out there yesterday, and guys had to find a way to get out of the wind. And the guys that did that, the guys, Dustin Connell, Mark Menendez, those guys really made a move yesterday. The wind's supposed to blow the rest of the week, the rest of the weekend. So the guys that were able to adjust with that wind yesterday are the guys we need to keep a close eye on today.
Ridgeland, Mississippi is our host city here. We're in the south central part of the state of Mississippi, about halfway down between that, on that straight line from Memphis to New Orleans there. And there's the way our anglers this morning are laying out on the reservoir. A lot of them taking that supposedly windier, bigger, lower end of the lake, but they're, you know, you can bet they're tucked into some place where they got a little windbreak.
They are, but Mother Nature's being a little easy on them this morning. You see guys on the dam wall down there this morning that I don't think they'll be able to fish that this afternoon if it's anything like it was yesterday.
Well, it's an interesting place. Again, like you said, David, not a very big lake, about 33,000 acres, 17 miles long, and a lot of history here, a lot of bass fishing history, a lot of Bassmaster history. We'll get into all of that. Welcome to the Toyota Bassmaster Studios. Tommy Sanders here with Davey Hyde, the full crew, full complement here. All our essential folks are here. Mike Sucon. Such, I know you got something going already. You always do.
Oh, on the ride yesterday, our marshal, Carl Sandburg, the poet laureate here, gave us a haiku.
Not the same. Okay,
Boat
haiku.
Crashing down hard, bringing pain, knocking teeth loose. In safe brings wet smile. They're going to have it again today.
The very best
rides
haiku
out
we've
there.
ever had on Bassmaster Live.
And the worst.
Both. It covers both those bases, since it's the only one we will ever have on Bassmaster Live. Ronnie Moore, what you got? I know you got a lot of stats to run down early on today.
A lot of the fish catching numbers we saw yesterday were very similar to day 1, pretty consistent on that thing, but the anglers weren't consistent overall. Mark Menendez was, though. I'm interested to see him on Bassmaster Live today, start in second place.
Yeah, Mark Menendez, Dustin Connell, see what they're doing. I've unlocked the secrets a little bit this morning.
I got to talk to a few of those guys last night, and Mark Menendez said he is fishing all alone. We haven't seen any of that so far, so I'm excited to see what he's figured out so different than the other guys in this field.
Well, as we say, these guys are fishing, and they are catching them. We've got some good fish catches already today, and we've been rolling tape on that. We're not going to miss anything for you today. Good thing about this spot here, Ross Barnett, we got great TV coverage. We got a great cell signal all over the lake, so we're able to bring you some good pictures all day long. Dave Lefevre, 4th place after 2 days of fishing. And there he is, Mark Menendez. You know, we did an interview with Cliff Pace from Mississippi before we started this thing here, and he said, you know, what is this? I said, what does this lake remind you of? He said, Dardanelle. Reminds me of Dardanelle. So there's a guy who mastered Dardanelle right there.
Yep. Mark told me last night that he is definitely capitalizing on the shad spawn early in the morning. There was several guys that said that last night when I talked to him. It's happening early in the morning, but seems to be going away very, very quickly.
Take a look at our Rapala 5 Live today. The 5 Live means the anglers we have got live cameras on for 6 hours this morning. Check it out. Bobby Lane put on a good show for us today. We've got a good start early, really excited, and just had to grind it out for the rest of the day and got about half as many fish on day 2 as he did on day number 1.
He did, but it's always fun to have a camera on Bobby Lane, and he certainly didn't disappoint yesterday. Just really fun to watch him fish and how he approached the lake.
Being in the boat with Bobby is always a treat. Dave Lefevre, boy, this guy is a stick supreme, and he just seems to be more of a factor each and every year. He's out here with the Bassmaster Elite Series.
This tournament really reminds me a lot of Wheeler Lake last year when he did so well. He's back in that shallow water with a jig in his hand, always a threat.
Day 1 leader Brandon Card, a good start yesterday. Has no trouble catching numbers of fish out there. They're just a little smaller for him, as he said yesterday.
When you hear a guy say, this is my favorite technique and I'm using my favorite lure, it's fun to watch, and he's certainly stuck with that yesterday. Had a lot of bites, just not the right size.
Well, we were told the guys would be able to do pretty much whatever they wanted to do on this lake within reason, and that's pretty much the way it's played out. That's why it's fun to watch the fishing here. Mark Menendez, he said, what I like to do is I like to get away from everybody, and he's done a good job of that.
It's very surprising that anyone could get away from the field here, but he's been able to do that. Like Ronnie Moore said, he's been the most consistent angler so far.
Now, here's our X Factor. We've just seen Dustin Connell one time on Bassmaster Live, and that was when he was given a ride to our eventual winner there at Cherokee Lake. But Dustin Connell, yet another graduate of the Carhartt Bassmaster College Series to prosper and do well out here. Of course, these guys have been fishing for a while now, and Triton on the line. Let's get it started, as we usually do on these mornings, with the guy who just finished sending them out, Dave Mercer, on the line. A few changes. There's room at the top, obviously, for changes, Dave Mercer, but hats off to the guys who were able to hang in there on a tough day number 2.
Hats off, literally, Tommy. That's why I'm not wearing a hat, because it's too windy out here to wear a hat. But thankfully, they got off this morning. And actually, the run out this morning, when we watched them leave, it wasn't near as bad as we had predicted. It's going to get a lot worse as the day progresses, but they were all just happy to be able to get to their spot safe. They know it's going to be a bone-crushing run on the way back. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but at least they got out there safe. One of the coolest moments on the dock this morning, definitely Mark Menendez. I heard you guys talking about him, and Mark Menendez talked about his daughter Caroline. He said when he won at Dardanelle, that week he went away, and Caroline said, can you get me a trophy? And he brought a trophy home. And he said he owes one to his son, Max, and that is what is driving him here this week. I asked him, I said, you've won 3 of these. What would this mean to you? You know, it's been a while. And he said, this is all about Max. He says, I'm being driven by Max. And he is one you want to watch because, as you guys well know, I mean, so many of our tournament leaders had one big day, 20-plus pounds, and then kind of stick-handled their way through day 2 to the point that they're at. But he has had consistent back-to-back 17-pound days, and that's a scary critter when you're out there.
We're talking about the fun of watching these guys do what they like to do best. Brandon Card was a lot of fun to watch yesterday, Dave. And what do you give his chances on today, climbing back up closer to 20 than to 10?
It's going to be a very interesting day. I mean, I'm predicting we're going to see a lot of moving today, just simply because what is the biggest story we've heard all week outside of the weather? Everybody has talked about one thing: pressure on the fish. Well, the pressure on the fish is absolutely half right now. Half the field's gone home, and there's going to be a lot more room. But if you look at those Bass Track leaderboards and where guys are fishing, the unique thing, and James Overstreet talked about it just a few minutes ago, the guys with space around them seem to not be our leaders. So we should see a lot of people come from behind potentially. Brandon Card, seemed to be fishing some stuff off by himself. We also have several anglers that have kind of taken, a page from Brandon Card's playbook and have decided not to make big runs. Crack Bassmaster writer Craig Lamb just telling me he was talking to Dave Lefevre, and Dave Lefevre in a great spot, but he said he's going to stick a lot closer to home today. He's going to not make the big run. There's a lot of fish right here. I mean, we have guys in our top 51 that have not left this basin, this area of the lake. I mean, Brent Chapman has got a lot of weight from here. There's a bunch of guys fishing in this area. So it's all about gamesmanship and playing and deciding, do I want to battle that wind back down here, or do I want to be sheltered? But Brandon Card is definitely one to watch. But, I mean, those consistent guys just keep screaming to me. And the other thing that I keep thinking of is the one dude that crossed the stage yesterday that did not gripe about the wind. He actually said, the wind is your friend. And I'm sure you can guess who that was. Kevin Van Dam. And if the wind is his friend, today is a very, very friendly day.
Yeah, definitely have to watch Kevin Van Dam. Now, give us a primer, what we don't know about Dustin Connell. Flesh out the bio for us, Dave.
Dustin Connell, I think Trip Weldon, our tournament director, I think he's got a little man crush on Dustin Connell. I got to be honest. Dustin Connell, in Trip's part of the world, he is. He's the KVD of spot fishing. He's the guy, and but a very stout angler. Dustin Connell got a very well-known collegiate career with the Carhartt College Bass program. He is one of those guys that reminds me a lot of maybe a Derek Remitz or a Casey Ashley when they first started. Very calm, very cool. You talk to him and he's like, man, if it's my time, it's my time. And he's, you can definitely tell he's here to hang. Where a lot of rookies in this situation, only in their fourth Elite Series event and leading at the halfway point of this tournament would be, a little antsy jumping around. But he's pretty calm, cool, and relaxed. And I think he's going to be part of our 12 one way or another.
Well, Dave and Davey, we all watched Bobby Lane working in that spot that looked for all the world like Central Florida yesterday, expecting at any second for him to bust about 3 or 4 big ones and just blow this tournament wide open, but it never happened. Does it happen sometime within these last 2 days?
Well, I got to believe it's going to happen, but I also think, Davey, answer this maybe. I think we're going to see a lot of bait changes today. Because of the wind, you're going to see a lot more moving baits than we have seen, and we already started to see it happen yesterday. A lot of guys were fishing slow-moving baits in the first day of this tournament, but with this wind, and this wind is very hard to hide from this wind on this body of water, it just puts the law of averages in your corner a lot more when you're throwing a moving bait, just because you have contact with it and you're less apt to miss bites. Davey, what's your thought on that?
I agree with that, but I don't know if you saw the monitor there. Bobby Lane, I think he's where he was yesterday morning. That water looked totally different. Not only is the wind blown, but it looks like some fresh water from some rains maybe a day or two ago. That water color is very different than it was yesterday, and he's swimming a jig right now, but I think he'd probably go with a chatterbait more or something like that, a spinnerbait, because it looks like a lot of things have changed from yesterday morning where Bobby Lane's at.
Guys, it's 7 pounds separating the top 12.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
One of the things that was different at takeoff as well this morning, different than the first 2 days of this tournament, is generally at the third day of the tournament, you're looking at all the boats as they leave, and they've got 2 to 4 rods on the deck because they've got it dialed in. I don't think I saw a boat leave today that had less than 8 to 10 to 12 rods on the deck. Guys know they're going to be cycling through baits, and nobody is dialed into, this is exactly what I'm doing, and I'm not changing at all.
Well, guys, I got one more question for you. We got 7 pounds more or less separating the top 12. When we get our 12 tomorrow, I mean, what kind of place do you have to have yourself in realistically after this day is over to have a shot at winning this tournament? How far can someone come back from?
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I mean, you know the law, you know the rule. Basically, if you follow it, if you're within what the big bass of the tournament is, and that's the goal. I mean, the big bass of this tournament, 7. Somebody help me here, 7 something. We'll put it on the screen right there. I'm going to put the pressure on everyone else. 7-2, exactly what I was saying. So you got to be within 7 pounds 2 ounces, but there is a but in that story. Whenever you have situations like this, like crazy weather, the potential of, shortening days, the potential of postponing days, who knows how it's going to happen. I mean, this system is giant that is moving this way, and where safety is always first here. So I think when that happens, weird and crazy things can happen. But generally, as long as you're within 7 pounds 2 ounces, you have a legitimate shot.
All right, Dave, thank you so much. Great job this morning. We will be leaning on you all day as usual back there in Ridgeland, Mississippi, close to our way in there, and we're time to get out and get some fishing going here, man. We've been talking a lot, and we know these guys are fishing. They're catching them out there, so let's get out on the water. Brandon Card on the left, Bobby Lane on the right.
The water looks different with both of those guys this morning. There's more wind in the area that Brandon Card's had this morning than it was the last 2 mornings. And Bobby Lane, if he's in the same area he started yesterday, which I assume we'll have to look at the Hummingbird lay of the lake, that watercolor is different than it was yesterday.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's what I was just about to say, Davey. It either looks lower or all those pads are like flipped.
Man, we
on their side.
caught 3 early, and I mean, it's still early, and literally the day just started. But they're not the big ones that I want. So I made a little move across the harbor. The wind's beating over here almost too much. I'm gonna try it and just see, but there's just a lot of boats in here. So I fished my stretches, and then after that, there was boats on the next 2 stretches that I wanted to hit. So
one way to catch them this morning.
Yeah, I love catching them on top water. It's my favorite thing. I saw them boil.
It a little bit. They're busting it good.
Yeah, they're coming up on it pretty good this morning. They're definitely flushing it. They're not like just nipping at it. They're flushing it today. I had to flip that one over the chain too.
Tell them what they're flushing one more time.
I've caught all 3 of my fish so far on my 3DB pencil. It's Yozuri. It's the same bait I threw at Texoma. I love this bait. This is my favorite topwater bait. I love topwater fishing.
Man, they look bigger when
I just fell in love with this bait the last couple of years. It's kind of compact, but it has a really nice sound to it, and it casts really well, and they just come up and eat it.
Look like he's being stalked out there a little bit by a couple of shady individuals out there looking for people walking on docks and stuff like that.
I'm sure Tripp saw that yesterday. He would have met him at the dock and check-in for him if he had
been
broken
standing
the
there
rope.
with his hand on his hips looking at him.
I mean, you're going to have to talk, boy. It's really incredible that he's fishing this lure in the same areas, and the first day catches 22 pounds, and he just hasn't had a good bite the last 2 days. We've been watching him and see him catch a lot of fish. You would think that one of those big ones
would be among them somehow or another. Yeah.
Davey, Tommy, I talked to an angler yesterday. They said that there was 15 to 20 boats in that area with Brandon, and we didn't see a single one on camera, but he said that he was in there as well. A lot of people.
In a new area, we're just looking. Like I said, we got to find another group of fish to do good. I mean, a 13 to 16 pound bag would be okay today. Where I was, I didn't see that yesterday. Didn't even have an opportunity. I felt like I scrapped scraped everything that I could have yesterday to catch what I did. I'm in a big creek. It's got a lot of stuff to flip, a lot of stuff to throw a swim jig and a spinnerbait around. So, you know, you want to win. You don't want to. You got to make top 12 to win, though. So, is this the best decision? It doesn't matter because it's the decision I made today, and it's the decision I'm going to stick with. And as the day goes on, the sun comes out, I'm going to pick up that flipping stick and hopefully put a few of the right fish in the boat.
His one from yesterday was certainly the right fish, Tommy. Yesterday morning, he got things going in a hurry.
Water looks different, doesn't it?
It does.
Number one. And it's a beauty. How about it? What a start. They're still on? What a start. What a start. Sort of, kind of. What are they running, several of them?
Yeah, we're running 2
I don't know what I got, but it feels good. They're still there. Yeah. I won't even keep. Well, he might. I wonder why he felt good. Oh. There's one more. Gee whiz. You know, it's not the biggest fish, but when you don't have 5, you'll take anything.
That was all yesterday with Bobby Lane, and it's quite remarkable. The top 4 guys, the Rapala 4 we were covering yesterday, all had 20-plus pounds on day number 1, and they all had just about exactly half of that weight on day number 2, to a man.
Really incredible, Tommy, to go from 20 pounds each to 11 pounds each. It's just amazing.
Well, you see one guy doing it, but not the whole top 4 exactly the same weight, 11 and change for all of them.
Well, one thing I noticed, Tommy, was that, 11 pounds, 12 pounds, they were close to that 11 to 12 pound mark, and the average size fish weighed in this week. If you add up all the big ones and counteract, all the average fish, 2.5 pounds, which is around that 12 pound mark for if you catch 5 of them. So these guys were just catching, all similar sized fish. And then we saw Bobby catch a decent one yesterday, but he had a couple small ones he couldn't get rid of. So it's kind of interesting. You either catch a big one and a bunch of small ones and still have 11 or 12 pounds, or you catch a bunch of 2.5 pounders.
It looked to me like that day 1, especially the morning of day 1, those guys that caught those big stringers, 19 to 22 pounds, they caught them early, and I think those places are done.
Okay.
The people that I think you really need to keep the eyes on are Dustin Connell, Mark Menendez,
We're not going far.
some other guys with big stringers, Ish Monroe, David Walker, Kevin Van Dam, Jonathan, those guys that maybe haven't had those 20-pound bags, but they've been able to catch just good, solid stringers for 2 days.
Well, I got a good blog from Steve Wright. He talked to Brock Mosley, who's only lives an hour away from the res, and he's saying he was kind of surprised, as Mosley, that the guys caught him as well as they did. He was thinking 15 pounds, and you'd be in the mix to win this. He's surprised that these guys have had. He's waiting for the other guy's fish to run out, and that may be the case in some places.
These guys will amaze you quite often, though. There's one thing you certainly learn the more you watch them, how good they catch them. I mean, they just really are, but that's a good point. Dave Lefevre is one of the anglers that I talked to last night that really feels like he's got these fish dialed in. He wouldn't go into great detail so far. I understand it's early in the tournament, or midway of the tournament, but he really feels like that he's got these fish dialed in. There's shad spawning around where he's at, lots of shad, he said. And he said there's a little trick or two that I've been able to figure out to get these fish to bite. So I'm excited about watching him closer today, having a camera in his boat.
The Bass Track leaderboard on Bassmaster.com doesn't reflect it, but we got guys with keepers in the boat right now. It's having some trouble getting ginning up this morning.
Well, Bass Track right now is having some technical difficulties. They're working on it, trying to get it to update.
All the fish catches are coming in. If you're following on Twitter, you'll see fish catches rolling in. They won't reflect on the leaderboard on Bass Track, but as soon as that's fixed, they'll all populate.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Talk to your animals.
Jim Sexton is out on Keith Boucher. Saw him catch 2 fish for about 6 pounds.
Oh,
wow. A couple 3-pounders. Mark Davis was with him, and he had, right as he sent in his blog, it says Davis does not have one. Davis pops up on the board with a 2-pounder.
So their little spot that was so good to them on day one seems to be happening again this morning.
You wonder, Davey, does this wind, it impacts people trying to fish areas as hard. You can't pound it as hard. So you think that almost protects an area or lets it replenish, gives it time to mix up and not have all that pressure on it? People got to run away?
Well, that a little bit, but I think we touched on a little bit yesterday. It creates current, and that positions fish and makes fish move around and set up in different places. And
Smaller profile.
you get guys that really figure out how those fish are moving around with this current that's being created by this wind, are the guys that are really going to have success today.
He will migrate over there. Huh? No, Fred. Down there in that corner.
Ricky,
The one I threw back? Yeah.
3 little ones.
Connell's got a 2-pounder.
Yeah, a little slower. This wind has got all the guys that were fishing over here fishing on the other side, so everybody's searching out the calm. I figured I would at least keep these fish honest over here. Never know.
So you can check your Bass Track now. It's all fixed and up and running right now. And according to Bass Track, we got Brandon Card back on top with 3 fish. Not big ones, but enough to put him ahead of Dustin Connell by ½ pound.
Brett Chapman's catching the right size. He's got 2 for 7 1/4.
Those are the ones you need here.
And on the chick this morning, Tommy, Davey, imagine this. There are 400 high school boats going out in that Costa High School Southern Regional. 400 boats, 2-man teams, and a coach.
On Ross Barnett?
No, on the chick.
We usually hear that
Chickamauga.
We usually hear there's a 400 boat tournament.
Where's our
400 boat tournament?
That's probably just a 200 boat
largest
tournament on Ross
It's our
Barnett.
largest B.A.S.S tournament event ever. 1,200 people will be out on the water on Chickamauga today.
That's phenomenal.
Largest B.A.S.S tournament ever.
400 boats.
Wow.
High school.
I think there's probably like a 350, 400 boat tournament going out of housing at Toledo Bend today, probably too.
Oh, yeah.
Always is.
Yeah.
There actually is the Texas team trail, the biggest one in Texas, is going out at Texoma today. So, and some people were saying that they're still on bed there. I know we talked about how north they are. There's still fish on bed up at Texoma.
Speaking of on bed, we talked about this a little yesterday. Most of these fish being post-spawn. Mark Menendez told me 2 of the fish he has weighed in were pre-spawn.
Wow.
My rule of thumb is they're spawning until the 1st of May from Florida. Everywhere. There's still a few fish spawning in the first week of May, even as far south as you want to go.
We saw it at Toledo. Everybody catching post-spawn, but the guy who caught pre-spawn
Post at 11 o'clock.
took the title.
And so that just prolonged the bite. But it's definitely been tougher day 2 and today. Just all the fishing pressure in here. This is a small little harbor, very well-known area. Jay Brainerd actually got 2nd place here in the Bassmaster Open a couple years ago. Big shout out to Jay Brainerd if you're watching, man. Congrats on the baby. Hope you and your wife are doing good. Probably lucky that Jay's not fishing this derby because he's got this harbor dialed in. He probably would have done really well in here.
Tournament leader Brandon Card, probably not the happiest guy in the world to see the sunshine come out. And how about that? Cutting into his topwater time a little bit, but man, we've seen it today. Guys out there catching them. We caught him yesterday early, but I'm happy to see him doing it again today.
Yeah, and Brandon Card's hanging on to that lead. He's just got small fish this morning, and he doesn't realize it's been a little slow for the other guys this morning also.
Dustin Connell is the guy who led the way into the day, or leader after day number 2. He's also the leader now. He's overtaken the lead in the Bassmaster Rookie of the Year points. 7th place in Toyota Bassmaster AOY points, and he was a Southern Open champion in 2015. Highest Elite Series finish so far, 26, but he's only missed one cut, Ronnie, is that correct?
One cut. He finished 56th at Toledo Bend. He's only missed 2 checks in his career.
Wow. Impressive stuff from Dustin Connell. Right now, he's consigned to 2nd place unofficially. His bass track is fixed and up and ginning and giving us the information we need. Brandon Card with 3 fish has taken over the top spot. Connell, Brent Chapman moving up today. Made an early move yesterday as well and faded just a little bit. Menendez, Keith Poche, and Mark Davis fishing back-to-back, and Dave Lefevre trying to get something going this morning, looking for the first keeper in the live well for him. We'll be right back.
The Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett is brought to you by Berkeley, Hook, Humminbird, Mercury, Minn Kota, and by Nitro Boats.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkeley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkeley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkeley trilene, and that is a fact.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Hey, thanks, Dave. Out of office?
Oh, man.
Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the line.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working.
I am working.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The classic and each individual elite event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at Bassmasterfantasy.com.
You're watching the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Brought to you live by Lowrance.
16 pounds, 11 ounces. And the elite rookie takes the lead in a year that seems to be dominated by the rookies.
I've always been following these guys.
That was Dustin Connell's big day at the weigh-in yesterday, Ridgeland, Mississippi. Day number 2 of this Bassmaster Elite Series. 4th stop of the year for the elites. It is going by fast. We're nearing the halfway point of this 9-event season. Get out to Mark Menendez here. His last win on our stop after next. Dardanelle a few years back.
Talking to Mark Menendez yesterday, he said that he was fishing all alone, which surprised me. We haven't seen anyone fishing all alone. But this is just incredible to me that he's fishing these rocks. There's a little bit of a shad spawn still going on, and there's not a group of boats fishing it. It's really surprising.
We read some of the interviews with Mark Menendez, Dustin Connell, and a few of the others. It was amazing how many of them said the exact same thing. He said sometimes for them, catching them boiled down to making multiple, almost maddeningly repetitive casts at the same thing again and again before they get these fish to bite.
Whatever he's been doing it, I would keep doing it because he's been the most consistent angler.
Look at that. Look at day 1 and 2.
17 and 17.
Take a look at something earlier this morning we had from Mark Menendez. He's been on that place for a while. An early fish catch.
One. On keeper. On keeper.
Toughest things have been. It's good to get that first bite or so.
Don't think so, though.
The spinnerbait blades he's using, I saw a shot from, it was day 1. It looks like he's got blue and white blades. That's unusual.
Easy there.
I'd like to get a closer look at that sometime today.
That's number 1. We're on the board. Numero uno. How about that? Number 1. On the board.
Mark Menendez talked about his last win at Dardanelle a few years back. In order to be assured of being alone at that one, he brought an aluminum boat and went through a big old culvert, just barely able to get through it in order to get to a special spot just off the river there, several miles from Dardanelle.
That was an interesting tournament. That little small entrance over a levee of rocks that was really, really shallow. I wanted to get back there in my bass boat, along with, I'm sure, some other guys.
Yeah.
And I thought about scratching the bottom off really bad, but I said, no, I just can't do it. And then the first day of the tournament, I was headed upriver and I passed Mark Menendez in that little aluminum. I said, I bet I know where he's going, and this is not going to be good for us. And he found a little sneak hole.
It's a little sneak hole. There you go.
Around me right now, and I'm not getting bit. So, I mean, I'm 100% sure it's just a timing thing. Might not seem like much, but it is.
When that opens, I guess he's just kind of returning the favor, if you will, just out of respect. So, it's all about brotherly love out here on the Elite Series, and that's what Chris Lane's all about right there.
What?
I think we have a case of mistaken identity here.
I was going to say.
Or I think Brandon's having us on as a joke here, possibly.
All about brotherly love, but it's not the brother I thought it was. We got to have another close-up of that. I love talking to these pros the night before and then get to see them start fishing. Like I mentioned, Dave Lefevre didn't want to give away too many secrets, and he talked about it had a lot of shad in his area. There was a shad spawn going on, and that's always a good thing. But he said that once the light got up a little bit, once the sun got up just a little bit, which is normally when the shad spawn goes away, so it surprised me, and I didn't want to dig too much, but I can give my opinion about what I think. These shad probably stop the spawn activity and move up and set up around these pads and these clumps of grass, and that's when he's able to trigger those bites.
I've had a good 2 days.
A guy named Robbie Bridges.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine.
Were you friends with Tim Loper?
Yeah, I know Tim, yeah.
He was my roommate for 15 years.
That's sad, man.
I love him.
I couldn't believe it.
I've kind of felt him around the last 2 days.
Yeah, he's been here. There's been a bunch of them here.
Tell Robbie I said hello.
I will. I talked to him last night.
A lot of brotherly love going out there.
I'm telling you what, that's what it's all about on the Bassmaster Elite Series, obviously.
It's Old Home Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, dude.
Thank you.
One thing about these riprafts, these bridges, you get a little taste of stadium fishing. You think about Guntersville, places like that, you get a lot more crowd interaction. I think that's a great deal.
Oh yeah,
terrific.
It's great for Bass Live for sure.
Absolutely. Somebody's telling me Dave Mercer's in our shot there. Is that right, Dave? Where are you exactly? Oh yeah. You are in our shot.
Is this Spring Creek at Guntersville?
This is. Dave, stadium bass fish, that's where we're headed, right?
That's right. And you know me, I'm all about friendship, and I'm up on top of the friendship, one of the ships here on this incredible body of water. But I am watching something very unique. We've all heard of drive-in movie theaters, but we're watching drive-in bass fishing. Brandon Card, 3 fish in the boat so far, but he has basically had 20 to 25 trucks and vehicles just following him around. All these spectators over here watching him, and they get a front row seat to what's going on. A very cool venue. Our takeoff venue right across the bay right there. That's where we did takeoff this morning. But these anglers, and Brandon Card especially, has been working his way around all this shoreline structure and giving all these spectators a front row seat. As if Bassmaster Live wasn't cool enough, you can walk along and talk to these guys. And Brandon Card, as always, a very hospitable host. And he promised me he's going to catch us a giant fish here. Correct, Brandon?
Dave Mercer, you're my hero.
You'll be my hero if you catch a giant fish.
Don't change the subject.
Don't change the subject. Hey,
yeah,
Dave.
I mean, I normally work good under pressure, so I think I can pull about a 4 or 5 pounder out from under the friendship here.
Calling his shots right there, pulling a Babe Ruth move, pointing for the big home run, says he's going to get a 4 or 5 pounder.
Oh, he
here.
hit the daggum piling. He T-boned it.
No.
This is a skydiver.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dave?
Come on, friendship. Be friendly to me.
I'm watching this topwater bait, waiting for it to get
annihilated.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Tell him to do the no-look thing. Tell him to do the no-look thing.
A little bit more clouds rolling in.
Look left.
Do the no-look thing.
Tell him to look left.
I don't
no-look
I don't know what
cast?
that means. I don't know what that means. But look at these guys who just keep walking down around here. They're bass fishing nomads. I mean, they get the opportunity to just walk along and.
Hey, Dave.
Talk to me.
Can you get a little interview with Chris Lane? Brandon Card said that Chris Lane was there watching him this morning.
Chris Lane was here this morning? I do not see Chris Lane here right now.
Ask Brandon.
But if I do see Chris Lane, I will get an interview.
Ask Brandon to point him out.
Where did Chris go, Brandon? But Brandon, is Chris still here?
I mean, I gave him a shout out literally 10 minutes ago.
And then he left?
I guess.
Is that because of your performance, or he had somewhere to go?
No, I think that he just wanted the cameo, so he got the cameo, then now he's heading back.
He still thinks it's him.
Going to probably get some buffet breakfast somewhere.
Dave, just
Brandon, I
between
will
us.
give you $5 if you catch us a giant right now.
$5. That's not much of an incentive, Dave Mercer.
$5 American dollars. It's worth $37 Canadian.
Yeah, you just doubled your bet there.
Now we're talking. So would $5 American buy me a Subway sandwich in Canada? Or would I need more than that?
You have to go to Timmy Hortons.
If you're still sponsored by Subway. If you're not, don't answer that question.
Brandon Card continue to fish, as you can see, cycling through different baits, fishing this shoreline structure, guys. And this, I want to tell you, if we ever get an opportunity in the future, this venue would be a perfect spot to do a whole course. Because literally, I mean, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you see that 1, 2, 3, third building down there, that white building. That is where our takeoff was this morning. And the whole way around this entire bay, you can either walk, drive, and get a front row seat to see these anglers. So, I mean, in the future, if we're ever looking to do a whole course, this is pretty much the perfect venue to do it.
You like the whole course thing, right, Dave? You've said that before.
I love it. I mean, you know what I loved about it as a fishing fan? I think you learn a lot more from that than you would think. And what I mean by that is everybody fishes those holes different. I mean, you watch somebody come through the hole, after an angler, and you just see the different approaches. You see a Brandon Card throwing a walking topwater bait here. If this was a whole course, you might see Chris Lane come through here next, and he throws a swim jig, or he fishes it different. Maybe he doesn't fish the shoreline. Maybe he fishes offshore. So it's really unique to see, how every one of these anglers confronts all the different conditions differently and how they think. I think it really gives us an inside view, as Bassmaster Live always does, gives us an inside view of their decision-making process, but how they look at the water is really explained in a whole course.
Dave, thanks, man. Thanks for the good hustle out there, being on the spot and everything. We'll be back to you soon, I'm sure. That was fantastic. A little interaction from boat to angler there with Brandon Card. Now, Davey, I don't know if it was Dave or someone proposed a different kind of whole course format where two anglers head to head, or two anglers hit a hole. Okay, the first one to catch a keeper in that hole gets to move on to the next one. So it's like an actual race. You get to cross the finish line first and win the tournament.
Oh, that would be cool. That'd be cool.
I'm sure there's something tragically wrong with that, but I hadn't figured out what it is yet.
Like a game of darts.
Yeah.
Guys, that would really be cool. We had the events where we had 6 holes and 12 anglers. You had 2 anglers in a hole.
Yeah.
I made the final 12 in several of those, and that's really interesting to have a head-to-head, but first one can move on. That's really
kind of interesting. It may have been Dave that thought that up. I don't know. Let's move on up the lake a little bit. This is Moments Ago with Bobby Lane.
And then one eats it. I might not. It's not the biggest fish in the world, but it's something.
Like a swim jig there.
And then one eats it. Well, I needed a bit better sign than that, bigger sign than that. But you know what? He ate it, and he ate it good.
Guys, the last 5 minutes while we were on Brandon Card, Edwin Evers caught 5 or 6 fish in about 7 minutes. Not a bunch of big ones, but a 3-pounder, a 2-something, and a couple other 2s. So he got into a flurry there. Probably maybe a shad spawn thing or finding that precise cast.
Perfect case scenario. I said I need a sign or I'm gonna make a move, and I caught a keeper, just a keeper. But it's kind of that pivotal point. Do you stay or do you go? I think I'm gonna hang around just a little bit longer and see what happens. I'm not tickled about this area at all, but what I did like is the ones that did eat this thing. This is what I caught the 20 pounds on the first day also. So I feel like if I can find a group of fish with it, or just stay moving with it, you know, and find a big area like that I got out here in front of me, if I can get a few bites, then I'll hang around. But I really need to see a right quality of fish, a 2.5, 3 to 4 or 5 pounder, something like, I mean, a good fish, and we'll definitely hang around. But I did notice the way that fish, that I caught a short, I caught a keeper, and then I caught a short. But when they got it, they got it. There was no slapping at it or missing it, and I had several of them do that yesterday. So maybe this dirtier water, if you get it in front of one, they eat it good. So we'll comb the area a little bit and see what happens.
Bobby's talking about swimming a white jig. He did that some yesterday morning. Caught his first 4 pounder, his first keeper yesterday on it, and he, like he said there, the next hour or so he kept throwing and only caught small fish and missed a few fish. But it's always a good sign when your bait's inside the fish's mouth that they really wanting to eat that bait. It's you've got the right combination when you see that.
I will kiss you if I catch you, I promise.
I think Dave had
not
a
going to happen.
little grab there. He's changed baits and thrown back in there.
So close. I felt him. I mean, he touched it that first time. You can throw a Senko. Like, I've never seen fish that won't bite a Senko when you throw it back in there. These ones, I'm still gonna, well, I'm not gonna do it because I don't even have it out. That's how much it's working. I gotta just grab another bait out of this big.
Like he's swimming a white
That's how
jig
much he
also.
got of it. Look at he clamped onto the tail of that thing and bit it clean off. And it was a bass. I mean, no gar, I saw it. 3.5 pounder. I used probably 3 different trailers, a swim bait on here, like the little swimming Senko. I use a little double tail Yamamoto, and when it's muddy I usually use like one of these craws, which seems to be better this week. Man, that's just crazy, man. I threw in there with that frog, came right through that place twice. Throw the chatterbait in there, first cast, boom, and miss them. This might be a good time to mention I'm catching about 1 out of 4 bites average, so. It's to be expected. There, Fred's gonna hit some really good stuff right there in a minute. Little spot just like this one. I'm trying to conserve. 4 days is a long time, especially on a tough place like this. So I'm trying to save that over there, and it's not going to happen today. I've been saving it for 2 days. I've been trying not to educate these fish by throwing anything other than a swim jig and a chatterbait, so that if it does get bad, tough, you know, I can have a little confidence in something different. I mean, like flipping all this, there's definitely, when that sun comes out, it's an amazing area right here underneath that canopy of whatever you call that viney, nasty stuff. But I have, you know, I haven't even fished here yet. I haven't had the need to come up shallow yet. I've been fishing out at the mouth of it, so hopefully in the long run, conserving and saving some stuff is going to pay off. I just really wish I could get a bite. Need to catch one. get it started. It's time. I think Fred might have caught one. Unless he's leaving. No, he's leaving.
I think Dave got his wish. He said Fred was about to hit some really good stuff, and Fred just pulled up the trolling motor and left.
Man.
If Dave knows he has the force on his side, this could be bad for everybody.
Might have just sent him.
He's probably going to go upwind and drift back down through there. Nope. Yep.
Is he doing the look away right there, Davey?
He can't keep his eyes.
We were talking about, we're trying to get Dave to get Brandon to do the look away or the no look cast, because yesterday you had talked about how many good ones have you caught on top by not seeing them.
Look left,
hit your top
get a
water
bite.
bait. Look left, get a bite. So you don't jump the gun on that fish, right?
That's right.
That's the whole thing. That was Keith Poche.
Look left,
Brandon
get a
Card
bite.
yesterday. Yeah, the no look.
I call it hot dogging.
And it's always left.
Now, actually, we've got some of Dave Lefevre doing the same move.
Look left.
He'll be a line burner.
Oh, he missed him. He looked back too soon.
You want to get bit on
Can't
Ross
hot dog
Barnett,
it like that.
take our simple advice.
Pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Nice.
Huh? That little one?
Look left.
It's got to be exciting.
Eyes left.
All right, I think I'm just going to do the look away and see if it works here real quick. Let me try this. Ah, it didn't work.
And I knew it would. You know, we talked yesterday that these guys aren't supposed to watch Bass Live.
That's right, but they
if
are,
we see
obviously.
someone looking left and getting bites, we'll know.
Oh, we know. They're out. They're busted.
I'm just
right?
saying.
Yep. No doubt.
Good to know. Good to know. No, not think. 100% sure.
Davey, some of these guys, when you're throwing topwater all day, you're staring at your bait 1,000 casts, and you're like, in places like this in Florida, you're
I
like,
have
oh
not
my
been
gosh,
back in here yet.
I could
Water's
catch one. It
crystal
looks so
clear.
good. So you look away, random, maybe 1 out of 100 casts, and you get bit. I mean, that's got to shock those anglers, like surprise them.
Now, I'm telling you, this is a secret technique that has been.
It's
like
you talk about your world of secrets. There's
yes.
one. There's one of
I
the.
mean, it's.
There's one from the
of
inner
all the
chamber
things
there.
To get out, I didn't think this would be one of them. Ronnie,
This is the reason why they're all here.
you're getting. That's why you college guys, you young guys, have come along so fast just the last few years.
Power of Bass Live.
Absolutely.
And you only do it when you think the camera's not on you, but these cameras. Oh, that's a half look away.
That was yeah.
See right when it was
That
at
was-
the target.
That was the fake look
Hey,
away.
he's forcing it. He's forcing it now. He's forcing it.
Yeah, you can't force
It's
it.
got to do one every 20 minutes.
It's got to be
probably.
random, right?
Goes for the same thing almost, Davey. Just like when those guys fish the same bait 20, 30 casts, and they pick up a new bait and they catch one on the first cast. It's almost like just not paying attention or something just a little different.
You look at that topwater lure for 30 casts and look left one time, you'll trigger that bite. And he told me last night he had the trigger. I wrote it down right here.
Uh-oh.
But he did not tell me what it was, but I know it's the look left.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Is that a book of journalism notes, Davey? You're catching on pretty quick. It's only like your third live, and you're already got a notebook full of goodies.
Good stuff. Good
if you
stuff.
come out of retirement, that's gonna be damn. I'm gonna buy
Could be
that book
good,
from
too.
you. Yeah.
Add that to what he's got already inside the cranium there. You know, the big concern, to get back to what's going to happen today, and we're all trying to get it figured out, was going to be the weather. Supposed to blow 25 miles an hour today. Obviously, Dave Lefevre has found a place where it's not blowing 25 miles an hour right now, so that's good. I think it's generally less than was predicted, wouldn't you say, Dave?
Yeah, a little less, but yesterday they were saying 20-mile-an-hour winds, and every angler I talked to said they had at least 30-mile-an-hour gusts. Some of them said 40, but every single one of them said baloney.
Yeah.
It blew 30.
And it didn't really start ginning up till about 10 o'clock, too.
Right.
Boy, once it got going, there was no stopping it. We're starting to get some FPM action there, flaps per minute on the jersey with
That's
Bobby
right.
Lane. So,
In case you weren't watching yesterday, I came up with a FPM, flaps per minute on the jersey. Gives us an indication, not quite as accurate as a T&H Marine weather wash, but it gives us a very primitive way to judge the wind speed.
tomorrow storms predicted, lots of variation we've heard in predictions when they're going to hit. Some say noon, some say not till 5 o'clock. We'll get probably better predictions first thing in the morning, but that's our TH Marine Weather Watch. So right now, this moment on Ross Barnett Reservoir.
Alfred Williams told us yesterday that the small lake as this is, that wind blows really, really hard, it'll be like a great lake, and it certainly was. We saw some guys take them over the front.
That picture right there.
Man, it's slow today. Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish. Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The classic and each individual elite event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at Bassmasterfantasy.com.
You know, at Advance Auto Parts, we have some of the most knowledgeable and helpful people working in our stores. We just thought you should know. Because buying online and picking up your part at the local Advance Auto Parts store is so easy that, well, the most they may get to say to you is, "Hi, here's your part." It's a shame, really. Buy online, pick up in store in 30 minutes. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back on the road.
You're watching the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Brought to you live by Lowrance.
16 pounds, 11 ounces. And the elite rookie takes the lead in a year that seems to be dominated by the rookies.
I've always been following these guys around, and they've came to a lot of local lakes of mine, and I was always that guy following them. And today I had me a little following, and it was a pretty neat deal. And I'm just excited to be leading this thing. Right now, I'm happy to be leading, but what really matters is on Sunday.
Dustin Connell leading the race, Rookie of the Year, Bassmaster Elite Series. There's your last 10 Rookies of the Year. That's a pretty distinguished bunch there, including Ott Defoe and Bobby Lane, Bradley Roy. Which one of them is no longer fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series? Can you tell me?
There's only two on that list. Everybody else is doing really well in their careers right now.
And the two that are on there both had success. They were on the trail for a while, and one of them I know won his first event. Pretty awesome.
Rimmets and McCackering. Those are the two that aren't still in the elites.
So, needless to say, if you seal the deal of Rookie of the Year, you've got a bright future.
You've got a shot. Absolutely. You may wind up a top-tier guy, as several of those guys have. So
Steve Kennedy in 06 got second Angler of the Year that year. So, rookies being stout.
Get back out on the water, not too far from our launch, as you can see right there. Place where we have found Brandon Card for the first 3 hours yesterday. Probably close to the first 4 hours yesterday.
Yeah, he really stuck with it a long time and had a lot of bites.
Well, I just skipped a $15 jackhammer about 30 feet up under this dock and got it hung. It's actually one that Brett Hite gave me. And I'm not getting that back.
It was 15 American too, so that's
yes. Not that he had to pay that for it. Brett Hite gave it to him, but it would be valued at 15.
Absolutely, yeah. For replacement value.
Actually, I did get it back.
Wow. Leading a $100,000 tournament and could have lost 15 there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Caught a few fish skipping a chatterbait yesterday, so figured I need to try it just a little bit today. So I wonder if we could trespass on this dock right here. What do you think? What do you think, Eric? Deb says no.
What that was. Spooked one. It was a big one.
This is about the time of day that Dave Lefevre told me he was really able to catch us better fish.
Spent a lot of time with Dave Lefevre exactly a year ago this week on Wheeler Lake. Had a place kind of carved out for himself with a few other visitors that he was very concerned about, much like he was keeping an eye on Fred Rubanis right there.
He's still keeping an eye on Fred. That's him at the top of the
was that
screen.
Fred up there? Okay.
Yep.
Tommy, that was, you almost queued me up there. I was going to mention Dave Lefevre's second year in the Elite Series. We've had 4 April events, 2 last year and 2 this year. His 4 finishes in April events with the Elites, 33rd, 2nd, 15th, and now he's in the top 5 here this week. So I don't know if April's just Lefevre's month or not, but that's pretty impressive.
Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. I think we're looking at Mr. April right here.
That must be the win for the day right there.
May was always my best month.
Was it?
Yeah, it's ironic. I think
so. The Dardanelle tournament was?
Dardanelle, Clark Hill. I finished off both Angler of the Year titles in the month of May. One of them, I know, the last one was a 3rd place finish only by 3 ounces at Lake Eufaula. It was just, I don't know.
I think
my
there's something
birthday
to that,
is May.
right? Yeah.
I'm a Taurus, the bull.
Me too.
A May guy.
How about that?
You do your best work in May too?
April?
April?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm done. Pretty much.
No.
Back to my usual sucking.
Around you, it just changes the way you think. And it should, I guess. But It's a real downer.
It just amazes me, Dave Lefevre, from Pennsylvania, smallmouth country guy, and when we see him and he's doing really, really well in tournament, he's up in those lily pads with a jig in his hand, whether it's a swim jig or a jig fishing on the bottom like he did in the Classic. He loves to fish shallow for those green fish.
Somewhere on the Sabine River Basin, there's a guy dreaming of being on Lake Erie somewhere right now too, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I followed Lefevre last year at Lake Wheeler when he almost won that. He led two of the 4 days.
The water is falling.
That spot looks exactly like it there.
Or the grass is growing. I can't really tell which.
Yeah, if you threw some
Definitely
bushes in there, it would
thicker
look
every
exactly
day.
like it, wouldn't it? Boy, Dave is one of our main focuses at the Classic too.
He was. I picked him after we interviewed him after day one. He had so much confidence.
Man, the Classic was a dream come true, man, just to be there. And to catch him decent like that was, you know, even better. I think that was the last tournament, actually, wasn't it? No, it wasn't, actually. We had Toledo Bend in there, mixed in, but right before the Classic, I had a 6th. I did well at the Classic, kind of stumbled on the last day, and then at Toledo, I did good, missed the cut by, I think, 5 ounces. It's just, not to take anything away from the Classic, it's the biggest game on earth, but I really want to win one of these bad. You know, doing good in a tournament's one thing, but winning one is the deal. You just got to keep putting yourself in that position. But geez, when it's this hard, it's just it almost makes you want to go back to the old club days, which I'd love to anyway, just to see my buddies and have fun. But makes you want to go back there and just try to win one, you know, just to feel what it's like to win again, you know. I think in this deal, even at the Classic, you know, when you make a cut, you fish on the last day, in our sport at least, it's almost like a win. So that's the way I look at it. That was fun, though. I had a blast. Came this close last day. Were you with me on the last day? My cameraman got to see me lose it. I had the bites in the last 20 minutes, I think, to seal it, but that's the game, you know, and that's the only negative about this whole sport is other sports, you know, when you do something, you know, you do something wrong and you learn from it, and those athletes will go and work on that particular thing, kind of like what we do. I mean, you want to be good at fishing shallow, fishing deep, different baits, you know, DTs and spinner baits and drop shots and stuff like that, but the one thing we can't practice is not losing them, and that's the bad part, you know. It's frustrating because there's nothing you can really do. You can change your line, change your hooks, change your rods, do whatever you think you need to do, and it could be perfect, and you're still going to lose them if it's meant to get off. So, not to be a downer, but that's kind of what's happening to me these last couple days. You know, that first day I should have had about 25 pounds. Yesterday I didn't lose any big ones that I saw, but I'm getting a lot of bites, you know, that if you could catch them all doing this, which never happens in this thick stuff, it'd be great. But I'll tell you how I adjusted for yesterday, which seemed to make a huge difference. I'm using Muse Black rods. They're a new rod that I designed from 13 Fishing. We spent a lot of time on them, and I've been doing this a long time, so I was grateful to have, you know, somebody listen to me and build exactly what I felt like I needed, you know. And the rod that I normally use on a chatterbait when I'm fishing tight stuff and making accurate casts is a 7.3 medium heavy. It's got a lot of forgiveness. You know, Brett Height's one of the chatterbait gurus, and he preaches the same thing. You know, it's you want that fish to be able to inhale that bait and get it. So in tight, I like 7.3 medium heavy, and then I got one that's a 7.6 that is the same action for making, you know, those longer casts and out in open water and stuff like that. I think a longer rod's good, but what I did yesterday, I was losing them on that 7.3. I mean, I lost a 6-pounder and 3/4s, and I didn't know what to do. So I put a chatterbait and a swim jig both. I'm alternating between those two baits. Got rid of the 7.3s, and I'm throwing them on 7-11 flipping sticks. I mean, heavy rods. And I mean, I didn't have as much weight yesterday, but I caught a lot more fish. My ratio went up quite a bit. I'm sacrificing maybe getting that solid bite, you know, like hooking them on that first bite. But once I get them hooked, I'm able to get them through those pads and stuff, because what they want to do is swim right towards you, and they go around a pad the opposite way from where your line is. So it makes it really tough. But it's weird. I just had one follow it right there, little one. It's weird feeling, you know, like casting with an 8-foot rod. But man, does it feel really good. It's something that I'm gonna do in some other situations moving forward. The other added bonus, you know, in practice, I figured out how to trigger these suckers into biting on the very last afternoon of practice, right before the meeting. And I'm changing the direction of the bait, even in open water. I mean, I'm throwing in these lanes, so you have to do that sometimes, but that sudden change, 90-degree change, will trigger a bite. And I switched to this longer rod, and it's actually making that turn more dramatic, which is just a bonus I figured out yesterday morning when I started fishing. You know, I'm like, whoa. Yeah, I use fluorocarbon for just about everything. I'm using 100% fluorocarbon. You know, it's Invisalign by Suffix. It's just a real durable line, real thick stuff. You know, I'm using 20-pound test. There's just zero chance of me, well, I shouldn't say that. There's zero chance of me breaking one off, and you watch what's going to happen now. But no, it's just tough stuff, so that seems to be the deal.
A lot of good stuff there, but very
It's
interesting
fun.
that he's swimming a jig in this thick cover with fluorocarbon.
Live well, but it's a fun way to spend the day. You know, it's almost sometimes it doesn't feel like you're in a big tournament fishing for your life. You know. I found this is just something that I've noticed over the years, even before I was pro. The reason, it seems odd that they're not biting right now. And we can't look at Bass Track, but I really got a feeling that, you know, somebody might have caught them, but I'm just saying they are not biting. And it's those fronts, man. When we got a major front coming tonight, and they are saving it for later. Even though the conditions are perfect right now and it seems like they should be chewing, they can't just chew all day. They're gonna do it, you know, this afternoon. I feel that. Just based on that, you know, we got some super bad weather coming tonight, and I just feel like they're gonna bite later. That's what I've seen, at least over the years. When it doesn't make sense, you know, this just doesn't make sense. It's perfect this morning. Yeah, this is, you know, an interesting, unexpected situation. He just missed one. Speak of the devil. It's an interesting deal, though. You know, Fred and I are staying right next to each other up the street, and we're talking a lot every night and everything. And he's a really good friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time. And up until today, me and Gary Klein have been the only two in here. In the mornings, I've been trying to save and conserve for a 4-day tournament. And Fred rolled in here at the end of the day yesterday, and we were talking last night, and we kind of, he asked me if I was alone, and I was like, no, I got one other guy who just happens to be one of my heroes, Gary Klein, we were both fishing this area, and I busted him on the first day, so Gary left me have, this little juicy part right here. He just stayed off of it. I even went right to him, tried to give him a bait and told him to, have at it, do what you want, but he's just a classy guy, so he stayed out. Well, apparently at the end of the day, while I wasn't here, because I was leaving it, I was catching, probably 10 fish and calling up to a good 13 or 14 pounds before I left. And Fred rolled in here in the end of the day and caught 2, called twice, He's been catching them somewhere way up the river and came here late and caught them. So there's nothing, there's nothing that you can do about it. Me and Fred talked about it, and, I can't really tell him to not fish here, obviously. So we're gonna just get along, fish in here, have fun, both make the top 12. It's not the ideal situation for me, not what I was expecting, but the good thing is even though I haven't been fishing in a crowd like most of the people have, I was prepared to, that's my mindset going into this week. So it is what it is, and got to deal with it. It's always something. Every tournament day you got something unexpected that happens, so this is just the deal for the day. So I hope he catches them. I just hope I beat. He hopes he beat me. I know one thing. Hearing that clacker buzz bait into my left ear is annoying. We could hear a big blow up at any time. Hey Fred, quit throwing that buzz bait. You're freaking me out. I don't want to hear things. I lost 2 big ones, not big ones, but good ones, 3s.
Dave Lefevre, Fred B.A.S.S sort of dividing up the water there and getting the ground rules laid out and telling what he likes about it and what he doesn't like about it. That's kind of typical angler stuff right here. Hey, how about Yamaha Taste the Bait? Is that a possibility? Can we do a little bit of that with the walking baits here?
We've been seeing a lot of the walking baits this week, Tommy, and Brandon Card has really done well on this walking topwater bait. Other guys are using frauds because they're fishing around a lot more vegetation, but he's been fishing boat docks, boat slips, these bulkheads, and really doing good with it. Unfortunately, we didn't have him on Bass Live on day 1 when he caught the big ones, but he's certainly been catching a lot of fish.
Getting to do exactly what he wants to do here, and that's of course one of the joys of watching a tournament like this. And like you say, everybody doing pretty much what they feel confident at doing, what they love to do, and that's when you learn stuff. And we have learned some stuff today. We have from Brandon Card, we have from Dave.
Man, they look bigger when they come up and they hit that thing. I've caught all 3 of my fish so far on my 3DB pencil. It's Yozuri. It's the same bait I threw at Texoma. I love this bait. This is my favorite topwater bait. I love topwater fishing. I just fell in love with this bait the last couple of years. It's kind of compact, but it has a really nice sound to it, and it casts really well, and they just come up and eat it.
just a really good point there about castability. Excuse me, castability. When you're fishing open water with a topwater lure, it's not that big of a deal. But him throwing in these boat docks up against these bulkheads, around the pylons, that sort of thing, it's real important to have a bait that casts well. And by that, you mean doesn't really sail on you left or right, because you'd never be able to make those really accurate casts. And I've been watching him yesterday and today. And other than the one time that Dave Mercer challenged him, I've not seen him make anything but just like the perfect cast. But when Mercer challenged him, he did miss his target by just a few inches, but he's really good with it. But he's obviously talented, but it takes a bait that flies well, that casts well, to be able to be that accurate with it.
How does a manufacturer design and make a bait so it doesn't sail on you? It doesn't grab the wind and go one way or another?
Well, it's interesting, and I know a little bit about that, Tommy, because helping people design baits through my career. A lot of the baits that really fly well have a weight in them that is in the center part of the lure, whether it be a top water lure or a crankbait. And when you load the rod with the bait and sail it, that weight will go to the tail end of the bait and let it fly with that weight forward. So that's all part of designing a lure, and obviously they've done a good job with this one.
He said it had a good sound as well, so it means it throws up the right number of bubbles with every little walk and so forth like that? Part of the sound he's probably referring to is the amount of bubbles that it kicks up when he's working it there, but then also probably got a rattle chamber in there. And some baits you want a single rattle in, some of them multiple BBs, that sort of thing, but he's probably talking about a combination of the sound that the bait's making on the water, you can see there, really good, but also probably some rattles inside a chamber in the bait. And there's a fine line. You're talking about creating a topwater lure, but I'm talking about weights one for sound and others to help the flight. So you've got to battle both of those things. You want it to obviously float really well and stay on the surface of the water, but it needs to fly well also. Well, it's fun to watch. If they had a bass fishing Cineplex in the mall, and there was a cranking movie on and a shaky head movie and a topwater movie, you know which one would be full. You bet. Topwater it's just so exciting. It's so exciting to watch.
Watch out for them Van Dams. Jonathan's moved up to third, and Kevin's just got a limit, and he's 11th on Bass Track.
Better watch out for those guys moving strong. Those guys love to fish wind. Dave Mercer mentioned yesterday that, and I hadn't thought of this, but he mentioned this lake reminded him of St. Clair. So if it reminds those folks, the Van Dams of St. Clair, and the wind's blowing, you better keep an eye on them for sure, Such.
Davey, did KVD send a little message when the first thing he said on stage was he loves the wind to all the other guys?
I didn't see him weigh in yesterday. You mentioned that he said the wind is my friend when he stepped on stage yesterday with 17 pounds, but I was able to talk to him last night, and I can read him pretty well. He's a man of confidence for obvious reasons. He has a reason to be confident about what he's done. He's done so much. But I can tell when he's just overflowing with his possibilities and his enthusiasm towards the next few days, and he was that. And he said, you better watch Jonathan. He calls him Johnny. You better watch Johnny too. So we'll keep an eye on them.
Oh, and Davey, going about that topwater bait, you were talking about the rattles, one for weight, one for noise.
Me and you both, brother.
It also makes a difference on how thick the plastic is, correct? On some of those topwaters, that'll make different noises too. If it's super thick, it dulls it down. If it's thinner sides to the bait, it'll make it ping more.
You bet. Good point.
We had a fan ask about Brandon Card's line and rod setup and everything, and I've noticed every time he set the hook, it sounds like braid, but every time we zoom in, it looks like he's got like one of those topwater loop knots deals with mono on there. So how long of a leader do you think he probably has between his braid to mono there?
I would use probably about a 5 or 6 foot leader in this situation. It'd be a good question if we're able to ask him. I'd like to do that, but I'd also, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what Bobby told me last night, but I got more response and more questions about Bobby Lane not engaging his reel. And I hope when he gets a flipping stick in his hand later today, maybe we can ask him. But for people that are listening now, because like I say, I had a lot of people respond to that, he told me he didn't realize he was doing it every time. But he said the fish don't feel me as much. And you talked about feel a little bit, but you were talking about feeling maybe the vibration of the spool engaging. Bobby's saying that if the reel is engaged and he tightens up on braided line, then he has it's like no stretch braid to a engaged reel in gear. And he's basically saying that with my thumb on that spool, if I get that bite immediately, I can let it have a little bit of stretch, sponge effect, whatever you might want to call it. So interesting. But he said, I always engage it before I set the hook, and that's why I think it could be disaster for a lot of folks, because I know I would, especially in the excitement of an elite tournament on the final day, I would set the hook and have the worst backlash in the world.
I bet we'll get to that today. I bet he'll have that flipping stick in his hand before too long. Too much time has passed on this day, and that's when it gets fun. Good stuff. That's good stuff right there.
Speaking of fun.
As long as you're just looking at it, you don't want to be navigating through that right there. There's our unofficial leaderboard. Fast track, giving us Dustin Connell back on top again. Stranded card, Johnny. Look out for Johnny. Jonathan Van Dam moving up. Brandon Polinick with a big move early today, a big limit in the boat. Back with more Bass Live coming up. We'll take a break. We'll see you later.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year! Tennessee, how's everybody doing today? We are excited to get this season kicked off. It all starts here.
Barely hooked, David. Barely hooked. Ooh, yes! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Stay down, stay down. Stay down, open your mouth, open your mouth. Yes! Thank you. Yeah! That's a big one. That's for you, Mama! How about that right there now? Woo! Ooh, yes! Yes! Yes!
Bassmaster Elite's second event for 2017 at legendary Lake Okeechobee. So much tradition here and so many amazing eye-popping results.
Yeah, buddy's right.
Yes! Yes! Give me some high five on that. Yes.
Take a closer look at that one.
I never flipped a fish that big before, I don't think.
Woo!
Stay hooked.
Yes. 11 pounds, 7 ounces, 11-7, and Timmy Horton becomes a 5-time Bassmaster winner.
Yes! Start off with the biggest one.
Good one.
It's 4 in a row.
There he is. That's a good one. Woo! That's what this out here. Fat pre-spawners. Yep. We getting it done today, boys. Oh my God, yes. Boom, baby.
Boom, shakalaka, giant bass. Do you feel the big? Do you feel it?
That's Toledo Bend Piglet.
The 2017 Bassmaster Elite Series Toledo Bend champion, John Murray.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Don't get in there. Got her in open water. Oh my God. Give me some nuts. Come on now. Give it up. Look at that one.
That's a Conroe beauty right there. That is a big one right there.
Big one. Big one. Look at that. It's a 10 pounder. 10 pounder. That's a 10 pounder, bro. Oh my God. That's a 10 pounder. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Yeah. How about it?
How about a big round of applause for Jordan Lee?
27 pounds, 4 ounces. Unbelievable! Your Geico Bassmaster Classic champion, Jordan Lee, 10 years ago, sat in those stands, and today he is a Geico Bassmaster Classic champion.
What is this meeting about again?
Fishing. Took my boat, boom, jumped over it, and I caught a giant. It was like a whale. 29 pounds, baby! That's the last time I danced on stage. Wow. Chief Fishing Officer. How do I get that? I don't know.
Go to teamgtfishing.com to find out more about my real job.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S. today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S. has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, BASS cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
You're watching the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Brought to you live by Lowrance.
Bass Live, Ross Barnett. This is the fourth stop of the year for the Bassmaster Elite Series. Next stop, Lufkin, Texas. And then after that, Lake Dardanelle, Arkansas River, a place with a lot of bass fishing history, and some of it's related to what we're looking at today. Mark Menendez won, I think, the 3 trips ago to Lake Dardanelle. We also have a former member seated next, former winner seated next. We had a big birthday win for Davey Heights. And that's been a better part of a decade ago. That was a good one. That was a big one.
It's been a while ago. Lake Dardanelle is always interesting. This should be a really good tournament.
Got to put a mic on Davey here. Davey was agreeing with me, just so you know.
I was agreeing. It should be a great event. We've had a lot of rain. The river's really high. I think it'll be at its best if the river peaks and then starts to fall. The fishing will be really, really good there at Lake Dardanelle.
Welcome back, Toyota Bassmaster Studios. Got plenty of Bass Live coming up for you today. We're only 1/4 of the way through it. Tommy Sanders, Davey Hyde in here, Mike Sukon, Ron Moore. We've got the whole complement of punditry here loaded for bear on this day. Just waiting for him to catch some fish. Somebody's been doing it. Skeet Reese among them. And Brandon Polinick, the two West Coast guys, making the biggest move of the morning up the leaderboard.
Speaking of fish catches, Tommy, very, very comparable day 1 to day 2 numbers. The morning was a little better on day 1 compared to day 2, but yesterday afternoon proved to be a little better. So these guys seem to catch them in the wind. It got really bad driving back, but we seem to catch them. So it'll be interesting to see how somebody like Dave Lefevre, who gets off to a slow start this morning, may have to fish in that heavier wind this afternoon to try to pick up the rest of his limit. But another takeaway from the week were the rookies. We've talked about how good they are and how many guys had a chance to make the cut. Only 3 made the cut this week. Ross Barnett was mean to the rookie class. A lot of guys struggled, but we have Dustin Connell, Daryl Okamika, and Mark Daniels Jr. making the cuts this week.
A lot of the rookies struggled, but one of them's atop the leaderboard,
Yeah,
so he's making up for some other guys that had a tough week.
He's holding up the side pretty well. Did anybody pick Skeet Reese for this one?
No.
No? Okay. Now,
Nobody.
That was a guy I was giving some consideration. You think about guys who do well this time of year, shallow water, West Point, close to Atlanta there, Gunnersville. This month, that's with Skeet Reese. We talk about guys who are hosses in certain months. He's one of them.
And we also talked about guys that fish well mad. Skeet Reese has not had a very good start to his year, and he's one of those guys that fishes well mad, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He does not like not being one of the top dogs any given week.
We talked about fishing well in April. We talked about Dave Lefevre. Well, Skeet Reese, like you said, doing well. Last year, he made a top 12, almost won at Norfolk. He got second to Randall Tharp in April. Right. So, throwing the swim bait. Yeah. Prior to Wheeler. So he's obviously proven his worth this month.
It's his month that he does really well, and what a way to turn around a slow start. By his standards, you turn it all right around with a win, that's for sure.
You see on our Bass Track leaderboard there, unofficially, Dustin Connell has gotten, it's been back and forth between Brandon Card and Dustin Connell. Dustin Connell, at this moment, which has luckily been rare for us this week, he's gone out of service. So he's out of our service area, but hopefully he'll round a corner and we'll be able to pick up a picture from him and get a better idea of where he is, what he's doing.
2 fish for 3 pounds approximately.
When we were able to see him for a few minutes, he was swimming a jig like Dave Lefevre and a few of those other, Bobby Lane's doing some of that. So what little bit we've been able to see, that's what way he started out this morning.
Dave Lefevre mentioned this, and you could every shot we've had of just about everybody. You talk about springtime, fish catching, everything eating day. I mean, this just looks like it. It feels like it. The humidity's up. It's just a pre-front. Everything. You think at any one of these hours, everything in the lake is going to eat.
That's a good point. He talked about it, and it's going to happen. This pre-front, like you said, you can't draw it up any better for the conditions. And he's out of the wind. He's protected. That's not really bothering him at all. It didn't affect his area yesterday, so.
Too close, Fred Rowe.
He'd say too close, Fred?
Fred, yeah.
Fred Rowe?
Fred Rowe.
It's all love and games. It's all brotherhood.
Yeah, it's all,
as long as they're
that's what the
biting.
Bassmaster leads. As long as I'm catching them, it's all about the love. He was very concerned last year on Wheeler with every boat that would peek around the corner. I mean, he was on it. The only place he didn't seem concerned about other boats was at Conroe, because he said, it doesn't matter. I can go behind anyone and catch them. And the first 3 days, that was the case.
That's a great point, Tommy.
Skeet
he
Reese
had a
just-
different deal going on, and he didn't care if some people were around him.
Skeet Reese just landed a 4-pounder. Bags up to about 14 plus right now. Should be climbing here any second.
He's on top.
Showing him leading. What was he at day one? Can you research that for us, Suge?
Oh, yeah.
He was right in the middle of the pack.
That's
wasn't he?
what I was thinking. This thing's shaping up more and more like Conroe. You better keep your eyes on everyone because you don't know who's going to be the hard charger next.
Actually, Skeet was a little better than he had 14 and a half first day, so he was probably up 25th.
He's 22nd.
22nd place.
Okay.
With 14.8. He needs to climb from, he's in the AOI, he's near 70, I believe.
I'm still amazed that
69.
Mark Menendez has that whole riprap dam to himself. Obviously, he's not catching one every cast, but it is a place that I would think 109 of the fishermen would have checked in practice.
Triton on the line. I tell you what, we said Dustin Connell is out of range for us right now. So what we've done is get the old cell phone out and just done a regular call to Wes Miller, who's the cameraman with Dustin on this morning. And Wes, can you give us some idea? You guys must be way up the river up there.
Sanders, we are way up the river. I have very little cell phone service. Dustin has caught 2 fish. He's got a few other bites, some small fish as well. The first fish is about 2-pounder he caught on a frog, which was a nice shot. I wish we had service so everybody could see this up here. It's real muddy water. And now he's gone to pitching a real heavy weight into this real thick cover.
Is that where he spent most of yesterday? Do you get that sense, Wes?
Yes, it is. He spent this whole area, and he's on the main river, just hitting all this thick cover on the edges of the river on both sides. He said the right side of the river, though, has been better.
Very muddy, though. You say it's really as muddy as it was. You weren't up there yesterday, were you?
No, I wasn't, but it is muddy. I've seen some muddy water, you know, after doing this for 20 years, and it still amazes me that fish bite in this stuff, but they do.
Well, I guess they live in it about 300 days of the year. And Wes, Dustin, the rookie in the leading position. I mean, that's a unique thing. Do you sense any nerves, any over anxiousness, maybe fishing too fast, anything like that?
No, I think he's dialed in, and he's gone to flipping this heavy weight in there, and he's going to stick with it all day. He has said that he's not going to get many bites, but he knows as the day goes on, the bigger fish will bite, and he is very, very confident in what he is doing.
You guys are pretty much out of the wind, or I can hear some wind. You're not totally out of it, I can tell.
No, we get gusts up here. You know it must be blowing when you see some whitecaps on the river up here every once in a while. I can't wait for that ride in today.
How was that yesterday, by the way?
Hint of sarcasm.
How was it yesterday?
It hurt a lot.
Hey, Wes, I got a quick question for Dustin, if you could relay it for me.
Sure.
He's flipping this heavy weight. Is he using, what size weight is he using? And are the fish under that thick vegetation, are they down on the bottom, or are they suspended up under that grass?
Hang on. I'm going to go to the speaker, and I'm going to let you talk to him straight away.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hey, Dustin, how you doing, buddy?
Let me get on speaker. Go ahead.
Hey, Dustin, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Doing good, man.
I just got a quick question for you. Wes said that you were punching the thicker cover this morning after we saw you swim a jig just a little bit early on, but if you're flipping that matted cover by the way Wes described, are you having to use like 1.5 ounce sinker? And once you get through the mat, are the fish suspended under those mats, or are they down on the bottom?
Yeah, they're suspended, and I've got 2 flipping setups. I've got a 2-ounce weight, and I've got 1.5 ounces rigged up. And for the thicker stuff, I'll gob that 2 ounce in there, and then, but mostly 1.5 ounces with a crawl on just a front skirt.
That's something we haven't seen anyone else doing.
That's right. That's right. It could be the separating factor. Dustin, was this a place that you concentrated on a lot in practice, or did the weather, when the tournament days actually got here, dictate that you use this as maybe a plan B that turned out to be plan A?
No, this was not primary deal. When I came here in practice, everything looks the same down there. And I've just learned in these tournaments, if you can get on something different and have it to yourself, you can win. And I, and earlier in the tournament, I wasn't going to say right off, hey, I think I can win doing this, because you just don't know. That's just fishing. But I really think that later in the day, if I get a few key bites, you can win doing this. Because I mean, yesterday I had 16 pounds. But I didn't start flipping until like 10:30. And I didn't have a bass. The water's got muddy, so they're just tough and tight. So, and yesterday, you'll catch 2 or 3 small ones, and then you'll catch a 4-pounder. And then you'll catch another small one, and then you'll catch a 3-pounder. I could have had a really big bag yesterday. I flipped in a mat or 2, and I'd hook up with them and get down to that thick stuff. They come off, 4 or 5 pounders. But this is what I'm going to do.
Well, how's the being all to yourself thing working out? Do you see anyone else in there, Dustin, today?
Nobody else. I don't have any company. And it really feels good because I can run anywhere I want, fish any place I want. And I know, 1 out of 4 mats that I hit, I'm going to catch some. So I'm going to do this all day.
Dustin, one more question, and you may have just answered it. I was going to ask you if you just have one key stretch, or are you able to go up and down the river once you get that far up and just fish every match you see and have confidence that you'll get a bite?
Well, in practice, I ran a lot of these places with no hook on my bait, and I saw the fish coming out. So the farther I went upriver, the bigger the bites I had. So I was like, all right, the small ones are down there. I ain't going down there on the bottom here. So I'm just staying up here. And it's an epic grind. It really is. But, I know it's a grind everywhere right now. And you just put your head down and keep flipping. So that's the plan right now.
Dustin, good stuff. It sounds like you're pretty well dialed in. We'll let you get back to work. Wes, thank you. If you weren't as tough as you are, I'd worry about you and that ride back today, but you're as tough as they come. So thanks again.
Don't believe me, yesterday I was down in the Motrin like it was candy. So
I can hardly believe it. Wes Miller out there with Dustin Connell, our tournament leader at this point right now. Let's take it back down to Bobby Lane. Dustin, you can see how far up there. I mean, he's halfway to Philadelphia, Mississippi there. So, again, he can turn a corner, and we might have a signal on him, so don't give up hope yet. We may have some good pictures from Dustin Connell before it's all over as we go down the lake and pick up Bobby Lane live.
Bobby's changed areas. He really fished his area hard yesterday and didn't catch the size that he knew he would need to stay up among the top couple guys, but he was able to hang on to 5th place. He's staying down on the lower end a little bit today and hopefully run across some bigger fish.
Found some water that doesn't look quite as muddy, and sometimes it's the angle. Oh, here we go.
Live.
It's a little sign. Man, did he choke that thing. Golly. Here's what's sad. He had a belly on him. Until he threw that up. Wish I could put it back in there. But that's a keeper. No. Just didn't take long for a frog bite. Frog and flip, frog and flip. Well, he showed himself, but you're right, there had to be. Look like beds right there. Well, I saw him chase something, yeah.
Always enjoy watching Bobby Lang fish a frog.
Oh, yeah.
Can we ask Bobby a question?
I don't know. Maybe we could. Yeah, I think they could relay something to his cameraman. We can ask him a question. That'd be a good thing to do. Meantime, they look like about 2 ounces worth of bluegill right there that had to go back in Ross Barnett.
We've seen quite a bit of that this year, and a lot of people still are curious. Are you able to put that fish, because it was in the fish's stomach or inside the fish when you boated it, can you put it back in the fish? But you cannot.
No.
Bassmaster rules will not let you.
And we've got more than one instance through the years of that fish making a difference in somebody making a cut, sometimes maybe somebody losing a tournament.
Last tournament, Mike McClellan?
Okeechobee, yeah.
Okeechobee, Mike McClellan.
Mike McClellan may have had it happen this week, but he has gotten 52nd twice this year. Once at Okeechobee by 4 ounces, had a big crappie in his live well, got spit up, and then he finished 52nd here, 1 ounce out of the cut. So that's 5 ounces, Davey, and $20,000. That's not going to the bank.
Save those spit up fish and laminate them and make a display for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
His ears must have been burning. He just tweeted what you do when you miss the cut on a Saturday watching Bass Live. He just tweeted back at
Who's that?
Mike McClellan.
Oh, wow. Hate to be picking on you, Mike.
No.
I've been there, done that. It's no fun. Best thing you can do to get over is watch a little Bass Live.
Or not. You imagine a lot of anglers saying a woulda, coulda, shoulda when they see something says, I was doing something very similar to that and just missed one little trick.
That is the thing. That's a great point, Such. That is the thing that I notice most from being there where those guys are, fishing the Elite Series, to watching Bass Live. There's most of the field, 95% of the field is literally that close, just right there. They just miss one little clue, or they fish a place in a time that they're not biting very well. It's just they miss it just by an inch or two.
Everybody has noticed that Jonathan Van Dam has taken the lead after Skeet took the lead. Skeet started 10 pounds behind Dustin Connell today, and JVD was only about 6 behind. So when Dustin gets his limit, win an F, those other fellows will gain back that lead.
Things have been deadly slow for Mark Menendez down there.
just that one early keeper. I think it was the first keeper of live, but it's his only one so far.
Very small fish, yeah. Barely a keeper. Dave Lefevre, even worse, no keepers.
One important thing, talking about Dave Lefevre and Mark Menendez, where they are fishing, these fish, I don't think have gone anywhere. They're just not biting this morning. These fish are living along this riprap, and why would a fish ever want to leave where Dave Lefevre is? That looks like a bass postcard right there with all that cover around.
We have a fan comment reply to the Bobby Lane engaging his reel. Justin Clark said, "Not engaging the reel is an old Florida trick. Finicky Florida bass don't like that tension when they first bite. Let them eat it and then pull on them, jack them," he said. So, Bobby being from Florida, yeah.
We're gonna explore that with Bobby here in a minute. See if he agrees it's an old Florida.
Yeah, I wanna be able to ask him that. We can maybe not now, but when he gets that flipping stick in his hand or whenever, he was eager to talk. Oh, he's doing pretty good with that frog right now. He's hooked up.
They're eating it. Better than nothing. Better than nothing. The frog bite seems to be on so far. Get one of them 5-6 pounders to blow up on this baby. I'm sure there's one in here somewhere.
Bobby Lane, that's good news right there. They're biting the frog. That's fish number 4. Was this another look away? Let's see. Oh, hold on.
It's always to the left.
Oh, yes. Oh,
exposed.
I think the secrets of the pros rolled out this week in April. There
That's
you
incredible.
go. The no look.
Always left.
Woe unto him who looks right. Hey, we got one more hour left in our morning session of Bassmaster Live. We'll take a break and come back. But remember, we'll be back after an hour and a half break, starting at 10 Central Time, 11 Eastern Time, for another 3 hours. And a lot of the indications are that maybe that's when things might heat up.
Dustin Connell, I definitely think we'll catch some big fish this afternoon. I like what he says he's doing in the afternoons, catching those big ones.
The Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett is brought to you by Shell Rotella, Yamaha, Triton Boats, Toyota, Power Pole, and by Skeeter Boats.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish. Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
Whether you're trying to figure out how to replace your rotors, change your oil, or install a new air filter, we know you've got a lot to think about. That's why we made our Speed Perks rewards so easy. Spend $100, get $20 off your next purchase. No cards, no points, no nonsense, no thinking. Save that for the important stuff, like figuring out your anniversary. Advance Auto Parts. Let's get you back on the road.
You're watching the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Brought to you live by Lowrance.
Well, he's got his bass patch on. Look at that, folks.
At the first day's weigh-in, Governor Finch is joined by comedian Jerry Clower to welcome the fishermen. Among them are 77 press anglers representing the national news media, making this the largest press coverage received by any freshwater event. But it's the fishermen who get top billing at this show. Contestants have come from all over the United States, bringing their skills and luck along to pit them against the Mississippi bass in the Ross Barnett Reservoir.
How about all those familiar faces from 40 years ago?
Wow.
That has been a while. Yeah, Jerry Clower in there as well. They had the big dogs. They trotted out some VIPs for this one right there. There's your eventual winner right there. His second Bassmaster Classic in 8 years. For Bobby Murray, Hot Springs, Arkansas. What a great day on Ross Barnett. Boy, that was one of those new hot lakes back then.
It really was.
Absolutely. Let's have a little Dick Seepeck. Tires and Wheels Bassmaster Elite Series trivia on the final day of the 78 Classic. Two locals were in Bobby Murray's secret spot, but left after he granted their request to give them what? Was it his autograph? His lunch? I might go for that. A quick lesson.
Yeah.
Or details about his lure. That's a good one, Such. Very nice. We're going to answer it now.
Yeah, he had one of those hidey holes where he had to really sneak to get in the water. Low area to get back in there and open up.
There. What did they ask for, Davey?
I'm going to say a quick lesson, C.
Quick lesson. I'll say his lunch. I'll go with B. Here we go. Details of his lure.
That's a quick lesson.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah, you get partial points on the technicality there, Davey.
Depends on what he had for lunch. I would have needed to know a little more detail.
What do you got for lunch? We'll give you your spot back that you've been winning the Classic on.
Bologna sandwich, I'm staying here.
Yeah, that's right. Keep your bologna sandwich. We ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
Fun stuff from 78. It's a classic site, Ross Barnett.
Found that in old Bassmaster magazine. They said, one of the guys said they missed a big fish right there. And then like 4 casts in, Murray caught a 314. Started his way on a 712 stringer that won him his second Classic.
712, that's what he caught on the final day.
Final day stringer.
Wow. It's a little stingy back then, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
$712 was his total weight.
Final day weight.
Final day, but it showed him kissing a bass. It looked like it was 6 pounds.
Wow.
That's not a keeper, I don't think. Nope. Not going to make the team. But it's a bite.
You know, the little Schultz from Hogan's Heroes? What was he doing? What voice was he doing there?
Yeah, if that.
We've seen quite a few guys this year swimming jigs in the different events. Dave Lefevre is moving this jig along right along the surface quicker than you see a lot of guys swim this jig. That might be part of what he was talking about. He'd found something to really trigger these bites. Keeping it right up on the surface, almost like Bobby Lane's frog.
Of course, there's not much room below the surface there. He looks like he's in a foot of water right there.
Good point, good point.
See, Keith Poche just climbed in there. He caught a 3.5. He's got 8 pounds on the day. Coming up from 7th place.
Keith Poche and Mark Davis gave their area, not intentionally, but they gave it a little bit of a rest. Maybe they're back and biting again a little bit in that particular spot.
We saw it pick up a little bit.
Maybe we're on to something.
It's
crystal clear up here.
He's really swimming that jig fast. Interesting that he's using fluorocarbon.
Why do you say that?
I think if you polled the 109 elite guys and said you swim a jig through this thick vegetation, these pads, would you use fluorocarbon or braid? I would think most guys would say braid. Be able to land these fish a little better.
What do you think his reasoning is? Why do you think he's doing it?
Maybe to help. The fish will inhale the bait when they come up, and if you're moving it fast, they can get the bait in their mouth a little better with the fluorocarbon. Would be my only reason that I might go to fluorocarbon in this situation. To just let them get the bait in their mouth just a little better, because it does have a little stretch. Fluorocarbon has less stretch than monofilament, but not as much as braid.
Well, and he did say, Davey, that he went from like a 7'3" or a 7-foot rod to a 7'6".
Yep.
So he beefed it up to a heavier rod, but kept the slight stretch fluorocarbon. And I guess he could have kept it at the 7'3" if he just switched to braid, but he said he preferred fluoro.
Ooh, I saw one waking over there.
The FPM is picking up where Bobby Lane's at also.
Right. You can see some furious flapping going on there. What do you think of Lefebvre's misdirection retrieve scheme there? Was that for real?
That's definitely for real.
Yeah.
With crankbaits, you know, the square bill crankbaits, one of the big keys to a good square bill crankbait is it loses its direction every once in a while, like it loses track. I really love a square bill that does that. With other baits, even swimming a jig, it's like heavy pressured fish see baits that are running true, and they get conditioned to that not being natural.
So if you can make it do a 90 like he was talking about, or a 45, and maybe.
Or head turn.
Or head turn.
That looks like a 90.
Put them both together, you can't lose.
Right. But if you think about it, you would never see a frog or a bluegill swim for 40 yards. He's probably making 30 or 40 yard casts through all that covered in one line, in one direction. To trigger those bites, a change in speed, a change in direction, those sort of things are all things that you do with a variety of baits to trigger a bite, a strike when those fish just have been heavily pressured. I've also been able to learn why Mark Menendez does not have 20 other boats fishing that riprap. It's a grind for him. He's not getting a bite every other cast.
It's not exactly a bonanza, is it?
But he's been able to grind it out and catch 17 pounds the first 2 days. And he told me he lost several really nice fish that he should have had a bigger stringer the first and the second day than what he weighed in.
And Davey, this isn't the St. Johns River or anything like that, but you did so well down in Florida on that fishery, and that fishery's got a lot of types of grass. Did you ever catch them really, really good out of the pads, or what did you kind of focus on when you did so well fishing that vegetation down there?
I like a variety. I like a variety where you've got pads, you've got some matted.
Is that all you got, Wind?
Got some matted vegetation, got some milfoil, a little hydrilla mixed in. I've always liked a variety of cover. It seems like those bigger fish especially like that. Little clean area, some holes.
Just so you know, Tommy and Davey, you guys are stopping Brad from Nebraska from doing his honeydew list today. So there could be some marital problems there because you're making him watch Bass Live. He's not doing his chores.
Honey, we're sorry.
Yeah, we couldn't be more sorry. I'm telling you what, if he wants to send us a list of his chores, we'll find a way to sort of maybe maximize his time once the broadcast is over so he can still get the job done. Everything's great on the home front. And life is good. We'll do what we can to help.
We give him that little lunch break in the middle of the day. He better hurry.
Get ready to pounce here in about.
He's got to go look at photo galleries at that hour and a half break and read a bunch of blogging and look at the bass cams. And then he's got to wait for weigh-in.
Lefevre with another really small fish.
Make it. Should we check you? Yes, because you are long and you got a big long tail. 13 and a half. But yeah, we're fine.
Dustin Connell, big shot, 4.5 pounder from Dustin Connell, 4.5 pounder.
Just got a text from J.O. He's calling it a 5. 4.5, 5. That's surely what you want.
Went in as a 4.5, so.
He's seen a couple of big bass in his life from a camera viewfinder. I will say our cameramen, though, are pretty spot on their bass tracks. I know it's almost like a competition for them, and so if I know Wes Miller's and Dustin Connell's boat, he goes specific on them, trying to get him as close as possible.
He's seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I imagine Wes can judge him about as good as anybody.
You bet.
And he does pride himself on being real close.
I like that. As a guy who used to run bass track, I'd love seeing them come up and being like, I beat you, I was 1 ounce off today, and I was like, I like that. Makes it a little more official.
Dustin Connell, come on, turn a corner, Dustin. We need to get some pictures of what's going on out there. Obviously, something's going on pretty big time right now.
3 bites in the last 10 minutes. That one I missed was about a 2-pounder.
Dustin's doing a little something different, but it's not something that you would think a lot of these guys didn't try in practice. Flipping that heavy, thick mat with a really big sinker. He said 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce sinker, and I was thinking yesterday while we were watching Bobby Lane, but he was in the holes, in the clumps, around the pads. Never did see Bobby yesterday flip a big weight, and haven't seen anybody.
Deeper into the mat,
yeah.
And a thicker part, yeah.
$5.12 out there, dude. On a frog, first day. Nope. There may be some way up in this little chute, I don't know. You got them? Do you have them today? 3 little ones.
Looks like Brandon Card moved to his backup plan, which he called he just said a 5.12 the first day, and Bill Lowen's in that area.
What do you make of this, Davey? Got a blog in from Michael Smith saying Bradley Roy is sight fishing for his 5th fish today.
Wow. I don't doubt it. Talking to a few of the guys last night, Mark Menendez in particular said that 2 of the fish he weighed in were pre-spawned. There's still a few haven't spawned yet. At one point yesterday when we were watching Brandon Card, I'm pretty sure he was looking at 1 or 4-1 on the bed. He was all up on the front of the boat, looking real hard in around some cypress trees where he had seen a fish.
Interesting note, Jim Sexton sent in a blog about Keith Poche's 3.5 pounder we mentioned earlier.
Chiropractic.
And both Van Dams were in that area. Mark Davis was in that area, and now they're all gone. Poche is alone. So it looks like they've left that same area again, but he's staying in there for the long haul, it looks like.
Got 3 of them. That's a big deal.
That's what I call a cast, boy.
New man.
That Brandon Card cast so hard he fell out of the boat.
That felt right.
That'd be classic, dude. I told you I'm all about making good TV. So.
That's beautiful. I'm fixing to get a bite. I'm hitting those rocks.
Come on, you
too
frickin'
right.
piece of crap
That's just-
wind.
A little fish followed it right then. I'm getting ready to catch one. That's the cast right there.
Keep waiting for Fred to pop his head out around that corner.
You see the difference in water clarity where Bobby Lane's at and where Brandon Card. Oh, Bobby just missed one. Talking to some of the guys the last 2 days, they had a lot of rain in practice. One night I think it was the last night of practice, and it's amazing the way some of these creeks really dirtied up, and it hurt the fishing, and some of the others just stayed really, really clear. Bobby just stirred some mud with his trolling motor, but where he's at,
yeah, it's more clear than the first place he landed at this morning, for sure.
Speaking of mud, Dwayne Ponder has a question, Davey, about I think a big thumper spinnerbait could be a player in conditions like this.
I was kind of excited to try it at some point.
I love throwing a big spinnerbait. That's a good question. Some of these guys, I'm sure, tried it. I think Mark Menendez is throwing a spinnerbait, but he's fishing the riprap instead of the vegetation. A lot of these places we've seen these guys, and where they're fishing, it's just too thick, too much vegetation to do that. They've been throwing a chatterbait and swimming a jig. Bill Owen putting one in a live well.
Now, Dustin Connell didn't see him, but Ott Defoe's further up the river than him, and Fletcher Shryock was pretty close by, so if he needed to ride back. maybe later. There's a couple options there.
Somehow James Overstreet got up there, apparently. We got a text from him. So, did he walk?
I don't know what's going on.
You don't want it again.
Garrett sent him the photo. Okay, all right.
Should get some good stuff from Garrett. He always got some good photos.
We got that photo, as a matter of fact.
Ooh,
there it
wow.
is right there, man.
Yeah.
Nice stuff.
That's a nice one. Those are the difference makers in a tough tournament for sure.
No doubt about it. That's what so many of those who ought to know around this place said it's going to be. You've said it. You know, maybe 4 little ones and a big one might get the job done.
Yep.
You get 4 average ones and a big one, you could blow them away.
Yep. And that's the first day when we had those 20-pound bags. That's what each of those guys that had the big stringer had at least one, 5-pounder, 5 to 7-pounder.
Bassmaster.com. We got some great lake maps this year. Certainly have upped our game in that respect. And take a look. That's what it looks like right there. You need to go and check it out as we take a look at our Humminbird lay of the lake. We can see where our anglers are and kind of see why they're there, Davey.
This Lake Master map is one thing that has certainly changed our sport. For the fishermen to be able to locate these fish, but also for us to be able to evaluate what they're doing and why. Mark Menendez, obviously there's a lot of contour there. If you notice, right where he's at is where the river goes through the dam right there. Obviously a intersection where you have the main river going through the dam. Brandon Card over in away from much contour around those boat docks there. But as you look, there's so many humps and creeks, ditches. You see the main river there in the darker blue twisting. It just goes in every direction. And yesterday we were having people ask about why aren't these guys offshore? Well, you don't have to be very far offshore. You see a lot of contour change. Once you get up the river, it gets flatter and flatter until you get in the river itself that feeds into the lake where Dustin Connell is, and it's basically riverbank, and he's flipping the matted grass way up there just out of service for us. But catching some big fish, just flipping along the river's edge, matted grass. He was swimming a jig early this morning, but he's been flipping an 1.5 ounce and a 2-ounce sinker in the thick matted vegetation way up the river.
He's headed about 200 yards to the west. We might get a signal on. Looks like he could make a turn around the corner there. We might have something. Look at this now. 2 Van Dam. When's the last time we had a Jonathan Van Dam and a Kevin Van Dam, both in the top 5?
And they're both very competitive. Like to see the other one finish right behind him. The second place would be great.
Is that in our future, a duel between those two on the final day? Who knows what's going to happen? Take a break. Be right back.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
For your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Hey, thanks, Dave. Out of office? Oh, man.
Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the line. to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working.
I am working.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The classic and each individual elite event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 Black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at bassmasterfantasy.com.
You're watching the Academy Sports and Outdoors Bassmaster Elite at Ross Barnett. Brought to you live by Lowrance.
We're in the thick of the all-important third day at Ross Barnett, but it's hard to take your eyes off what's down the road. 2 weeks from this weekend, Lefevre, Texas, Toyota Bassmaster Texas Fest, benefiting Texas Parks and Wildlife. That's going to be a big event. That's what's sort of taking the place of what we used to know as Bass Fest. This is kind of a big celebration of bass fishing, a bigger tournament right in the middle of the season. Lots going on at the venue. And hey, Sam Rayburn's supposed to be on fire today.
It's supposed to be on fire.
Let's have our Power Pole replay of the day. You know, the new technique, the hottest technique that's sweeping the nation now, as we well know.
Davey, look left.
Yeah, the look away, the no look. Keith Poche practicing a little bit of that yesterday. Not once, but twice.
Twice. Here we go. Brandon Carr, the same technique. And Mark Davis. He's the only one that went right. There's a look left.
Oh my gosh, that was a little bit one.
Here's Bobby Lane. Look left. Keith Poche. He really dialed it in there. 2 looks left if they refuse to bite after the first.
Double no look right there.
Gets them every time.
These guys make it, they hide it so well, they actually look like they're looking at something over there. We know what they're up to.
These guys are slick.
We know exactly what they're up to. They've been busted out on that one. One more time, Lefevre. Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
It's just try to roll out a new secret every tournament.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Just doing our job.
Secrets of the pros.
Our Bowl replay of the day there. Write that one down definitely if you're going, especially fishing on top. And this magnificent weekend, although the weather tomorrow, how magnificent will it be? We got predictions of storms and heavy-duty storms coming for Ross Barnett in this area of south central Mississippi, Ridgeland, Oath City, moving up the Pearl River. About 300 miles of meanders before it reaches Lake Bourne in the Gulf of Mexico. Down at the termination end. Now we got it. Now, okay, we got some shots of Dustin Connell. Check it out.
Boy, that water's dirty up there, isn't it? Hope we get to watch him a little while.
Dustin Connell from the Alabama River.
That ain't good.
You're saying he's from the Alabama River guy.
Yeah, Alabama River guy, down in Alabama, and obviously, and it's where he won an open, but he's not foreign to going up into tight spaces, some moving water, some dirty water for sure.
You look at the Pearl River, you look at the Alabama River, the vegetation, the layout and everything, the sandy sandbars and whatnot's a lot of similarities, huh?
It really, really is. Looks just like the Alabama River. All these fishermen want to get in their comfort zone. Bobby Lane, we've been talking about him yesterday and today. He looks like he could be in Orlando, Florida, fishing Toho. Dave Lefevre, Wheeler Lake last year. You could pass his picture for exactly where we saw him fishing last year at Wheeler Lake, these pads, scattered grass.
Connell said on the phone with you guys he likes to find a population of fish. No one's pressuring, and he'll do it himself. Well, it looks like he went where there's limited fish and limited cell service compared to everybody else who's kind of on top of each other with good coverage.
Oh, that was a big one, man. That was a big one. I don't know if you saw that or not. Oh, man.
The favorite just.
Oh, man. 4+. He's not going to bite again. Ah, oh, dang it. Did you see that one? Were you looking at the bait when it blew? Man, that was the right kind. Dang it. Just getting started and getting that first one would be nice. Make you feel 10 times better. I can't screw up and not catch 11 pounds today, too. I got to get 11 or 12 to make the cut. Gosh, that would have been a really good start. That would have meant that all I needed was 4 keepers after that. Just had a 4-pounder eat it at the boat.
Rim or something.
Needed that one.
We talked about our 4 guys, our Rapala 4 Live we had yesterday, and of course that would include Keith Poche and Keith Poche, Brandon Card, and Mark Davis, and all the rest. 20 pounds average on the first day, half of that on the second day. Was that true for the entire field? It's a little bit closer than that, Ronnie, as we look at the entire field throughout the first 2 days.
Very, very similar fish catch numbers from day 1 to day 2. Even the hourlies were very similar. We saw day 1, the first hour was the best hour we've seen all tournament. That's to be expected. You get to your spot, you want to pound on the fish as quick as possible, especially with the shad spawn. But a similar sized fish as well. We've seen some bigger fish and whatnot, but Steve Wright even documented big fish on day 1, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Big fish yesterday was only 5 pounds and change, but the limits were very similar. 76 limits, 73 limits on day 2. Obviously, it got tougher from some guys, but we saw even the cut line, the top 51 to get paid this week. Day 1 was 11.5, and normally the rule of thumb is we double it and you add or subtract a pound depending on how tough it is. But yesterday we doubled it and added a couple ounces. It was 22.14, so a lot of guys catching the similar sized fish this week.
It's incredible how similar those numbers are throughout each day.
Yeah, my goodness.
I caught my 5.12 on the first day and had another big one. It was pretty much blown out yesterday. It still kind of is, but I've pushed back a little further in these bays, and the water has cleared up just a little bit, just enough to where you can fish. So as long as I can see about 5 inches deep, I think that's clear enough. So hopefully we'll catch a few real quick. We've seen them bust on shad, and so there's definitely activity back in here. I think maybe the fish that were out on that flat have kind of pushed back in here just in search of a little bit cleaner water.
Guys were able to have cameras on other than Mark Menendez, just like Brandon Card mentioned there, seemed to have pushed farther back. Yesterday, a lot of the footage guys were out off, not really offshore, way offshore, but out 100 yards or so from what I call a hard line. But the water, the wind makes that, the amount of clear water is pushed back into a real tight area, and those fish will migrate with that. And there's a shot of Dustin Connell, what he's flipping with his heavyweight, a 2-ounce sinker, he said, 1.5 ounces and a 2-ounce sinker. It's where he's been able to get some really, really good bites. Okay. We saw Dustin pitching under overhanging limbs and that sort of thing earlier. I think he was just moving along in search for these matted clumps like this that he has to use that heavy sinker to get down through the vegetation. And when I was on the phone with him, I asked him, are those fish, do they seem to be on the bottom under that vegetation or suspended up close to the top of the canopy? And he said suspended, and that's when they're usually more aggressive when they're up just like that. Right when that sinker punches through there, once you get it through there, you'll get that bite immediately.
Again, he's kind of just right on the edge of getting enough cell phone signal, which is the technology we use to bring you these high-definition pictures live. Just a change in the angle of the boat, turn a corner, and you might be good for the rest of the day.
Like about a 4-pounder.
There's a good shot of his heavy tungsten weight.
Yeah, he didn't seem to care, did he?
Tommy, Davey, we actually have a college angler, a buddy of mine just texted me, said he's about to take his last college final ever, but he had to watch Bassmaster Live before instead of studying for it. He's watching Bassmaster Live and about to go take a test. So.
Well, good luck. I hope it is his last one ever. He didn't spend too much time watching live.
Maybe it's like fisheries and biology or something, so this is kind of study. Maybe, who knows?
Contemporary trends in topwater technology. Yeah, if that's it, he should be in good shape.
If his final is about looking left on topwater baits, he is going to ace it.
Absolutely.
Completely.
That'd be the extra credit.
He's going to wreck the curve, this guy.
Are we live? Oh, are we?
Get a good look of Dustin there, what he described to us where he's been catching his bigger fish.
Starting.
Haven't seen anyone else doing this. Really surprising.
You think of the elites who are out there, those 110, 109 guys. Who are the top 5 who are just drawn to punching through the heaviest stuff that's out there? Who just, that's their deal?
Bobby Lane's certainly one of them.
That's what you would think.
Bobby Lane is certainly one of them. Sometimes in these tough tournaments, though, there's just not enough bites to keep people doing something like that. Maybe Dustin was able to get, I don't want to call it lucky, but in his first 30 minutes of trying flipping this thick matted vegetation, he got a bite, so he continued on. Bobby Lane could have tried it an hour and didn't get that bite and just gave up on it. It's really incredible in these tough tournaments. If you find something that's just good enough that you can, if you really go all in, you could win the tournament. But it's not the most aggressive bites, and it's not something that it's easy to go catch a fish. But when you do catch a fish, he mentioned they're really good ones. I think the same deal with Mark Menendez. I would bet anything that half the field fish this riprap that he's fishing. But, you know, if they fished it, if Mark would have practiced it today, he'd be gone and be done with it. He hasn't caught a fish yet this morning. I've always thought that on any reservoir like this with a riprap dam, there's a population of fish that live there. Bobby's hooked up. It's like a better fish. Oh yeah. Fell off in the boat.
That's a quick release, but a good one. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Put that one on the big fish side.
Yes, yes, absolutely. 4 or 5 for Bobby Lane Jr.?
Should be 4.
Probably 4. Yeah.
Do what? Oh, I'm live? Heck yeah.
Boy, that fish shook his head one time, and luckily for Bobby, it was right over the center of the boat. I don't even think we had a look left that time.
No, we didn't. We did it the hard way.
Yeah, he earned it.
Right in the box, and again, one shy of a limit for Bobby Lane.
Jump him to 4th place.
4th place, so Bobby Lane hanging in there very well. Big fish, Bobby Lane. One career win, and that's been a while. It's been about 8 years ago. Kentucky Lake, and he blew him away on that one right there. But his consistency throughout his career has been incredible. Never misses a classic. Always in the hunt pretty much for Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year.
He really is, and he has certainly earned that big fish Bobby Lane, because no matter where we go, whether he's in the top 5 like he is right now or maybe down in 40th place, he always seems to catch a big bass, whether we're upstate New York or South Florida.
Super versatile guy. You think of him, he's not one-dimensional at all. He's really good at what he's doing right now, but he can do it all. Ledge fishing, you name it.
Yeah, that's how he won the first Bassmaster League event on Kentucky Lake, fishing deep ledge, deeper than most guys were fishing with a swim bait.
Yeah.
Do what? We were on? Sweet.
Davey, question from a viewer. Just wondering why most guys are throwing a popping frog compared to a normal frog around all this cover. Is it because of the dirtier water, or why do you think that's, you know?
That's a good question. I would throw a popping frog with the dirtier water just to make more noise on the surface and get those fish's attention, where it's not, it's more sound and movement of water rather than visual.
Little wind competing too has something to do with it.
Yeah. What? Yep, absolutely.
A little ripple.
Creeping up.
Well, what I don't want to do is get in anybody's way today. I just saw Matt Herron back there, and you know, he told me to go the other way, so I did. I don't want to get in anybody's way. What I really don't want to do is get out in that wind again where I was. Today it's blowing twice as hard, and I finally just caught my best fish of the day, about a 2.5 pounder. So there's really no reason to leave now. It's almost 10 o'clock, 5 hours to fish, and she is piping. I'm not regretting staying in here at all. She's piping. She is a blowing.
If we get a chance at some point, I'd love to be able to maybe relay a question to Bobby.
Sure. You have questions for any of us? It's Davey in particular. Hashtag Bass Live. Hashtag Bass Live. I bet they'd pass your question along if you asked it right now, Davey.
Bobby it's a question that I'd like for everyone else to hear the answer to, because I talked to him last night and heard a little bit about what he had to say, but he told me that he was going to downsize his spider wire, his braided line that he's using, from 65 to 50 because of the wind blowing more, affecting his bait, the way he could fish it. And I'm curious, and we were talking flipping at that point, but I'd like to know if he has done the same swimming a jig and with his frog, as he's downsized his line because of the wind. Just a little smaller diameter line with the wind blowing
More
30.
That's
good
the
stuff.
Water, is it?
On my swim jig, I haven't downsized anything. My flipping stick, I went from, felt like a fish. I went from 65 to 50, and the reason is the wind, it just holds that line up. When you flip, that line has that bow in it. So I went to 50-pound test, which is almost 4-pound, believe it or not, difference in diameter than 65-pound test. So what that's going to allow me to do, of course, that was yesterday. I was flipping a lot more today. I've caught everything on a frog and a swim jig. But it's going to let me, when I do flip, my line's going to go smaller diameter. Will keep it from floating. It'll let it go straight into the cover. I'll probably come back through here and flip some of this at some time. I haven't seen any other anglers, so I'm conscious of what's going on, and I don't want to get in anybody's way. But yeah, I do downsize. I had to downsize because yesterday you'd flip in there and you could not tell if you had a bite or not, because you would drop and your line would just bow way out. So I went to a smaller diameter on that. My swim jig, I'm sticking with 50-pound test, spider wire, ultra cast, just because the cover's so thick and I'm more straight line reeling right to it. It's not something where my line's going to bow. Even when I make casts, I'm making them direct, so I have direct contact with that line the whole time.
Quick update on Dustin Connell before we go to break. He just landed his 4th fish, a 3-pounder. So he's got 4 in the box before 10 a.m. on pace right now with that would put 4 fish for roughly 10.5 pounds.
At least 10.5, wouldn't you think, Ronnie? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a 4 or so, 4.5 to 5, a 3-pounder, and then, just 2 keepers.
Well, Dustin Connell started the day with the lead and surrendered that lead to Johnny Van Dam. Skeet Reese in turn, Kevin Van Dam lurking behind those two. The plot is getting very, very thick out there, Davey Height. And we talk about our other guys we've had in our Rapala 5 Live today, and Mark Menendez, whom you said had ultimate confidence in what he was doing, but boy, he has found the going slow today.
When I talked to him last night, he was full of confidence, mainly because he's got his area all to himself, and we've seen he certainly does that. And he told me that he had learned more and more about what he was fishing and what the fish were doing each day. I guarantee you he is shocked that he's not caught any fish yet this morning.
Menendez with one of the top limits of yesterday, of day number 2, at over 17 pounds, and certainly injecting himself into the storyline here and doing what he likes to do, getting away from everyone else, but he's kind of gotten away from the big ones as well, or any fish at all, at least for the time being. But a place that I know you said intrigues you, this riprap right where the outflow is.
Yeah, you've got to know there's a population of fish that live there. He just hasn't figured out the bait he needs to use this morning.
2 consistent days from him. We've only seen one other angler other than Menendez stay real consistent, and that was JVD with 2 15 to 16 pound limits. So if Menendez can just figure out a way to put 5 in the box and settle down, he can, maybe survive into the final day.
Well, plenty of time of fishing on this day left for Mark Menendez and everyone else, including Dave Lefevre, who needs his second part of the day to perk up in a substantial way.
Once again, Tommy, he was full of confidence. He had a place figured out, a lot of shad there, fish were there. He said, I've figured out the trigger, how to make these fish bite, and I guess he needs to figure out a new trigger because this morning it just hasn't happened for him. And these fish, just like I mentioned with Mark Menendez, I don't think these fish have gone anywhere. He just hasn't figured out a way or the exact bait he needs to be using today. Every day is a different day.
Absolutely, and confidence from one day can start to be bruised and battered a little bit when deeper you get into the next day when nothing is happening. Dave did tell us, though, he said, even if I do get into him, I'm going to have a hook to a landing rate of about 1 to 4. So, it's not going to be easy for him, even if he does get into some
Kevin
fish
Van Dam, blog just came in. Nice upgrade, nice looking fish. On our break, go check out our Marshall galleries, our photographers' galleries, the blog. Some nice images of some big fish. Nice upgrade.
It's getting interesting. A rookie seems to be wanting to pull away, but there's 2 Van Dams right on his heels, so it's going to be interesting this afternoon.
Absolutely, and a Skeet Reese in that mix as well. Boy, we got a lot of dangerous characters out there running and gunning and looking to run down our leaders from the first 2 days. There's our first day leader right there. Brandon Card started each of the past 3 days the exact same way in the same marina, working his walking topwater lure.
Just hasn't had the quality bites like he had the first day. And the marinas, the bulkheads, where he had caught a couple nice fish the first day, had his limit. Then he went to this matted vegetation, throwing a frog some and swimming a jig. He had caught big fish there, plan A and plan B the first day. Yesterday and today, a lot of bites. He's been able to get bites, but just the quality has not been there.
Well, if you're getting bites, that's part of the battle there. It's not been completely bountiful, this Ross Barnett Reservoir, but it's a great test for these guys. Mark Menendez starting his day with a decent fish. Bobby Lane goes a pretty good while before he catches a good, decent fish, but Bobby Lane getting a decent number of bites as well. We're going to take our midday break. That's about an hour and a half long. So we'll start that here in just a few seconds, and we'll take an hour and a half break, and we'll be back at 12 Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Here near Ridgeland, Mississippi, where we find Ross Barnett Reservoir. Fourth stop of the year for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and Dustin Connell, the rookie, on top of the leaderboard right now, but an interesting leaderboard with a lot of big names in pursuit. We'll be right back.
Man, they look bigger when they come up and they hit that thing. Thanks, Trip. Bring us back a biscuit.